Good morning. Hello. It's so early for me. My goodness. Hi. Good morning, Jelly Duck. Good morning, Alpha Daddy Pup. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Today is a very special day. We're participating in the Mental Health Awareness Raid Train put on by Aria's here. The official slot doesn't start for another, 45 minutes. So I'm just kind of getting my nerves out, making sure technology is working and coordinating. So we're gonna play a cozy game while we wait for Era to do her thing. She's doing a fabulous job. I've caught a lot of her presentation. She's live right now. So if you want to hop on that raid train before it pops over here, I am going to give a shout out right there. So feel free to give Era a follow. Go check out. Oh, did that not do it? Hold it. That was me. What? There we go. That should do it. Did I misspell her name? I so totally did. Aha! I see. IA. That's why. Okay. Good to know. So, here's a shouty for Era. Hi, Kiso. Good morning. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you for the follow. We do have anonymous follows, but appreciate you for hopping on in. You are welcome to stay lurkin'. But if you want to say hello, that is cool too. All right. So let me get my game scene swapped over here. I've got to figure out. I added a bunch of buttons in preparation for this stream, so I'm trying to get them all correctly. Let me turn this off since we've got the cozy music from Dorfromantic. So if anyone hasn't played this game, it's one of my new favorites. It's really heckin' cute. It is really heckin' cute. It gives me like Carcassonne meets Catan vibes, which are two of my favorite board games, but it's super, super chill. So you're basically starting out with this stack of tiles, 40 of them it looks like to begin with, and you're kind of matching them. So some of the tiles have little houses on them, some of them will have rivers, some of them will have trees. And the idea is that when you place the tiles, once in a while you'll get these goals. So this particular tile wants me to build a closed city with at least 3 houses. And then this wants me to build a forest with at least 5 trees. So we'll put that there. And we'll put this guy up here. And so the idea is you kind of are working on getting these tiles to match up while you're accomplishing these tasks. And when you complete these goals, you get more tiles added to your stack. It's so cute. I think Dorfromantic actually is a board game. I think that's where it comes from. I absolutely love it. Perfect. Those are great board games. I'm so glad you like those. Yes, they're some of my faves. I have a board game problem, Kiso. I have about 350 in my collection. It's a thing. It's a thing, but it's all good. It's all good. So as you can see, now that I'm near here, it's lighting up to accomplish that task. So I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place this river. I think right here is probably good. And see, I just got some more tiles. All right, and then we got these fields. And I just completed that tile perfectly, so I got bonus points there. All right, put this guy here. I used to work at a gaming store. I blame them. That's worth it. That's worth it. I think for me, board gaming is something that I experienced a lot with family, with my grandma, with friends, and so it's kind of my comfort thing. I just love playing board games. And so now that I have adult money, we're healing that childhood early, or we're taking care of that childhood self through our love of board games, which is fun. They're just cool. They're just cool. There's so many. Kisa, what's some of your favorites in terms of board games? All right. Well, maybe that was a mistake. Let's see. We'll put this village. Put the village here. And we'll close that forest off right there. So that goal is done. Oh, and we got more trees. I probably shouldn't have put the railroad there now that I'm seeing that. That was probably a mistake. Oh no. Tile placement. All right, there's that guy. Welcome back, Kisa. I was just asking what some of your favorite board games are. Oh. I'm a big fan of co-op. Anything co-op. Betrayal at the House on the Haunted Hill is a really fun game because it's combination co-op and it's also competitive depending on how the game goes. Depending on the scenario, it's a really interesting one. I'm big into cooperative games. Okay, Kiso. You gotta stop being a brain. I'm sorry, Kiso. That's funny. Well, that's cool. That's cool that we share that interest then. That's awesome. Yeah, co-op games are really fun. I would say if I had to pick one board game, just one, for my all-time favorite, it would probably be Catan. I could keep playing Catan with friends forever. I love it. I own just about every expansion to it, including the Game of Thrones version, which I have yet to play. Betrayal is one of my faves totally. Nice, Kiso. I've got to get a group of friends together so we can play the legacy version of Betrayal. So legacy, I don't know if folks know about what legacy games are. So legacy takes the game, but then it adds a whole bunch of like campaign modules. And so it changes every time you play the game. And it's like a story that unlocks over time. I have Machikoro is another one of my favorite games. It's a city builder card build, almost like a deck building game. I have the legacy version of that one too, and I've played that a few times, and it's interesting. It has all these little boxes in it, and each box has a different thing it adds to the game each time you play. It's really cool. I'm sure you've tried Mysterium. I have tried Mysterium. Unfortunately, the group I played with, we had somebody who was not very good at explaining the rules, and they decided to be the ghost and to lead the game. It did not go well. I've had better experiences with, what's the other one? Dixit. Dixit's really fun. I've played Dixit with a group of folks in one of my group therapy classes I ran, and that went really well. I also got another game that's similar. I don't know if where I put it. I brought it and I haven't played it yet. It's called Canvas. It's really pretty. And the way the box of the game is designed is it has a little sawtooth thing on it, so you can just hang it on a hook like a canvas on the wall. It's really cute. Dixit's the same type of, yeah, I think so, because it's the hi KK. Enjoy your lurk. Australia. Yes, and make sure you enjoy the sound bites as much as you like, because the chaos will be toned down for the presentation today. You of course have Tabletop Simulator. You know, Kiso, I do, but I don't know how to use it. I've played it a little bit. I think I played Catan on it once, but most people, whenever I'm like, hey, do you want to try that? Are like, no. I'm like, okay. I would love to do some gaming on there. I think it would be fun. Or this poor village. I made a mistake. They're never going to get the houses they need. But as you can see, I started with 40 tiles and now I'm all the way up to 58. So they are just stacking away, stacking away. I also really dig campaign style like Gloomhaven, Imperial Assault. I don't think I've played either of those games, Kiso. Those sound like commitment. Commitment in a game series. Yeah. Yeah. All right, this river is just looping. So one of the things that you can kind of also do with Dorfromantik, if you're into like Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop gaming, this is really good inspiration for map designing. Because as you can see, just naturally and organically, these little towns are like cropping up, trade routes you could pop up or roads. You also got the rivers and lakes. There's a full creative mode, so you can take what you've built and add to it. It's a really cool game. Really cool game. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. Ours really the digital equivalent of playing board games. It's all buttons. It's intimidating. Okay, okay. Yeah, I just recently been using Foundry. I finally purchased a license for that. So I do Dungeons and Dragons on Wednesdays. It's called the Frog Pond Academy. It's based off Strixhaven, which is a Magic the Gathering setting, which is really fun. It's really, really cool. All right, we'll put that there. Is this the two houses? All right, look, we got the perfect tiles. We've got the train connecting and we've got the houses to finish that village. Yes. The other thing that's cool about this game is that over time you unlock things. So if you end up building way out, you can unlock special tiles that do cool things. I don't know if I've really unlocked a lot of them. Oh, look at the jack-o'-lantern. What's that doing? What are you doing, Mr. Jack-o'-lantern? Okay, all right. I don't think I want to put that there. Let's put the jack-o'-lantern. Oh, wait. Oh, actually, I do want to connect it there. Okay. So if I put this here, that ends it. But if I put it here, that extends the village longer. Okay. And that should block that in. Okay. So this tile, as you can see, is a little different. So a lot of the ones we've had is that you need at least one to fulfill this quest. This one is specific. It only wants 8 houses. So there's too many here. So you can't build into there with this tile to get that goal accomplished. It's sneaky, very sneaky. But I can build it here. Oh, and we finally got a new biome. Midwinter. Very cool. So as you can see, the biome's changing a little bit as you play, which I think is neat. And so that's another thing for like tabletop map building, is it kind of slowly develops into these different regions. It's super heckin' cute. I love it. Oh, so much. Dope. Ba-bow. LOL and D&D. I could tell we're gonna be good friends. Yay! Well, I mean, we were talking about doing RP in 14, and that's something I'm really interested in learning more. Good morning, Blood Hunter. How are you? Hello. I've got water right here. That's one thing that's been really cool, Kiso, about the raid train, is meeting all of these cool people and hearing what they have to say. It's been a really nice opportunity to network and collaborate. It's been awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hello, I'm good. Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Happy Friday indeed. Yes, we are up much earlier than our typical time for the raid train today. It's a little weird getting up early. It is. It's a little weird. But I am not as early as some other folks are. I've seen some people's streaming at really interesting hours. But it sounds like they're really committed to the mission to spread awareness, so can't really complain about it, you know? I think it's awesome. All right, I guess, can I put this tile here? I could put it there, and then I have to block it from 2 ways. I guess I'll put it here. Oh, perfect. All right, we'll put that one there. So that forest is complete. Perfect. It's a great opportunity to meet kind and passionate people. High key agree. High key agree. It really is. Absolutely is. Just checking this thing. Yeah, it's gonna be a cool day. Cool day. If anybody's wanting the agenda ahead of time, let me see if I can find my button for it. Here it is. So at 9, we officially start. I'm going to be doing a podcast conversation about managing burnout, vicarious trauma, and parasocial boundaries. At 10 o'clock, I've got some guest stars coming, a whole bunch of cool streamers, where we're going to talk about giving bad advice. It's going to be silly. It's going to be fun. And then to wrap it off at the end, we're just going to be talking about the challenges in finding a therapist and some resources. So it's going to be a cool time. Good morning, Blunt Hunter. More like good night. Yeah, it's probably much later in the UK. or the EU, sorry. The EU. Hi, Joshua. Hello, Anthony. Hi. Hi, Joshua. How are you? It's good to see you. Giving bad advice. That's my job. It's 2:30. So it's afternoon for you. That's not evening. All right, it looks like this river wants to complete. Ooh, that tile fits there perfectly. Perfectly. I'm gonna put that there. Okay. Look at the little boat we got. Isn't it cute? Heckin' cute. Heckin' cute. I almost read that as how to trauma dump. Yes, that's the name of the podcast panel that or guest star panel is how to trauma dump. It's great. How to not trauma dump, more like, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be heckin' silly. Heckin' silly. Also, I noticed that command has Aristasia's name misspelled, so I'm gonna go update that so it doesn't continue to give the wrong name. Just gotta remember what the heck I called it. Link. Raid train. Schedule? I think it's schedule. There we go. IA. Save. So now when it comes up, there it goes. All right, I fixed it. I fixed it. Yeah, so the raid train is currently over at Aristasia's house, which is awesome. She's been doing a really great job. Aesthetic. Yes, very much aesthetic. Very much aesthetic. All right. Looks like Emmy is up. She's awake. I'm gonna put her in the guest star. Good morning, Emmy. I don't know if I can hear you that well because of my headset, but hello. I am in the Discord. If you actually look up here because I moved the camera. I'm in the Discord. If you want to join that, Emmy, that's where I am as well. But I thought it would be helpful to have you here in guest star once our guests arrive. Yes, Bloodhunter, please do all of those things. Get them out of the way before we start in about a half hour. Oh dear. Oh dear. Emmy, your volume is so low. Let me turn you up. There you go. Now I hear you. Good morning, Emmy. I don't think the stream can hear you, just so you know. All right. Here's your dad joke. Are you ready? Are you ready? Was the pixie good or bad? Let's just say she was nefarious. It's so stupid. I love it. Yeah, I don't have the Discord on this scene, so Emmy can share all sorts of secrets with me. Oh, hello.
Fuck you. I'm murdering Aeons and you want me to read
There
that right
is
now.
that.
Right now. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, we are.
Did you hear that there is a free trial for Final Fantasy XIV right now? It includes an entirety of A Realm Reborn, as well as the awards-winning expansion Heavensward. You can play up to level 60 for free, with no restrictions on playtime. And new and improved news, you can now even play the Stormblood expansion, which is up to level 70 for free. And I'm trying. You can cut that however the fuck you want.
For free. Kiso, for free. For free. Emmy's here. Up the chaos level. Oh, I love you. You're so funny. Ooh, my little choo-choo train. All right, we're gonna do that.
Daddies are great. Daddies are awesome. Daddies can give you all kinds of wonderful things, but daddies cannot fix you.
They can't.
Daddies cannot solve your problems. You have to make that kind of change yourself. That sort of work has to come from within.
It does, Bloodhunter. It does. Daddy cannot fix you. Here, let me add you, Emmy, so people can hear you. Emmy, do dailies with me.
They're going to be in my computer for the next couple hours.
All right, there we go. They can hear you now.
Yay. I'm hearing you double because I have you in the guest star and I have you in the Discord.
Here, let me mute the guest star. Here you go.
Okay, that's better. Thank you. Pronoun party.
Thank you, Bloodhunter, for requesting a pronoun party. If anyone feels comfortable sharing your pronouns, feel free to do it. My pronouns are he, that. Emmy, she, her. Bloodhunter, he, him. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Bloodhunter.
Can't believe I missed first this morning, damn it.
Yeah, Jelly Duck came in and swiped. Joshua, he, him. Thank you, Joshua.
Okay, let's see here.
Surprised I haven't had a field. Oh, got a perfect score. Perfect.
How was the rest of stream last night, by the way?
It was really good. It was really chill. We did finally get your character name. So Harley is now Emmy. She's so cute.
Harley is adorable. I love Harley.
Ah, there's a field.
Bloodhunter. You see, Bloodhunter, you have to, most of the time you have to try to snipe me. And normally I have Effector stream up probably about 5 to 10 minutes before he goes live. So the second he goes live, I'm there. I'm already in it. So you have to, it's hard to beat me. Murig's, I think, is one of the few who has. When I've already been here, Murig's been able to pop in before me before. Ooh, what's this?
The game?
Makes me think of, it makes me think of Catan.
It's like Catan meets Carcassonne, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Catan and Carcassonne.
Yes. So this is Dwarf Romantic. So I was figuring, like, I gotta get the technology set up. I gotta go live. I always come in second place. No one gets the joke. What's the joke? I don't get. I'm sorry, but I don't understand the joke. Could you repeat? Did I miss a thing?
Oh, he comes second. I get it. I get it.
Oh.
I'm a degen. I get it.
Bloodhunter, you are so wholesome. Wholesome Bloodhunter. Thank you, Bloodhunter. Anyway, yes, Dwarf Romantic, it's kind of like Carcassonne meets Catan. So you start out with this stack of tiles. So I had 40 to begin with. And then when you place tiles, once in a while you'll get these goals. As you can see here, here's a goal there, here's a goal there. And by accomplishing the goals, by how you place your tiles, you get more tiles. And so you kind of start to sprawl out and build a little town. It's really cute. It's very cozy. Bud Hunter, thank you for gifting a subby wubby to Kiso. That's so nice. Emmy, thank you for the biddies. Yes, get your chaos out now before everyone else shows up. We can't be degens for this completely.
Your lies, Daddy. R.I.P. our beloved Daddy. No, I couldn't have died. I'm Daddy.
I'm Daddy. Indeed. Uh-oh, Emmy. How come your TTS didn't go off?
Thank you, Blood Hunter.
I don't know.
There it goes.
Some incoming second.
There it goes. Yes, for right now, if you donate 25 biddies, it will give you the cursed text-to-speech. But that will be disabled while we present our thing today.
That's why I'm being chaotic now.
Yes,
You.
get your chaos out. Get it out.
Yes, this one again. Yeah.
I'm murdering aeons, and you want me to read that right now?
Uh-huh.
Right now.
My
Uh-huh.
trauma is
Okay,
entertainment.
we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Did you hear that there's a free
Still
trial
laughing at my
for
dad
Final
for
Fantasy
the
14
thing,
right
yeah.
now? It includes an entirety
I told
of a
Kiso
Realm
about it,
Reborn,
too.
as well as the awards-winning expansion
Just
Heaven's Ward.
imagining
You
my
can play
dad
up to
who's,
level
like,
60 for free
6'4"
with no restrictions on playtime.
and, like, has
new
wonky
and
legs
improved
running.
is you can now even play the Stormblood expansion, which is up to level 70 for free. And I think I'm trying. You can cut that however the fuck you want.
Hi, Plunge. Good morning. Hello.
Oh, Plunge, how's work? Because I'm assuming that's where you are right now.
Plunge, are you at work? You at work and you're in a stream? You silly. You silly.
It's about 8:40, so yeah. Oh, he's about to start work, yeah.
Well, appreciate you dropping in while you can. That's very nice. If you aren't already following Plunge, y'all, let me get you a shouty while you're here. Oh. Oh, you already did it. Never mind. I was just going to give you a big shout out. Emmy did it. All right. Thank you, Emmy.
Yeah, I'm fast.
Yeah, you can catch Plunge on my stream typically on Wednesdays, or we do Dungeons and Dragons at the Frog Pond Academy. Plunge plays Koreg, a very super serious turtle.
It's hilarious.
Oops, did that not end the thing? Crap, that was a bad placement. Oops. So you can see like the ones that have the requirement for how many specific tiles they want, you have to close it in order to collect your goal. Oops. That was a bad placement, y'all. Very bad placement. Oh well. I guess we'll just surround it.
Yeah, after your stream, I have to go back into work for the rest of the day. 'Cause work is so crazy with the whole new system thing.
Who works? What's that? Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce. Get that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it mixes with my mac and cheese. If you are not on Biscuit Talk, you are not on the right side of TikTok. I'm just saying.
I have not had a Taste the Biscuit video pop up in a hot minute, actually. So I must have left Biscuit Talk, and I'm very sad.
You know, I really just haven't been on TikTok that much lately. But I also have not seen a Biscuit video in quite a bit. All right, Mr. Boat's happy. That's good. Seriously, this line is the best clip ever. Oh, Emmy's 14 promo. That free trial, by the way, about Doma and Stormblood, I think is now expired.
Yeah, it expired May 7th or May 8th, I think.
But they are doing, I believe, a live letter right now as we speak. Yoshi P popped in playing Tears of the Kingdom on his Switch. It's so funny. He's a busy guy. He's having fun. Which is really cute. It's corn. It's corn. Everything changes with butter. This is true. You'll be playing that tonight. What? What are you playing tonight? I missed it. My brain deleted. I've got this just line of forest out here. Better close it in. Zelda! Oh, Tears of the Kingdom. I got you. Why did I not realize that's what you meant? I'm silly. I am.
I want to play Tears of the Kingdom, but my backlog is so full right now. And I want to play Breath of the Wild again before I do that. So I'm going to wait like for at least a month, maybe two, before I play it.
I have not pre-ordered it. I'll get it eventually. I'm sure it'll be great. Mr. Choo Choo, where you going? Looks at Ultima 7. I want to play Tears of the Kingdom. Too bad I sold my Switch. Oh no. That's unfortunate, Bloodhunter. Yeah, the Switch is a really cool system. There's some interesting games on it.
How is Casey already up?
I know, she was posted in the Discord.
He's 3 hours behind us. Casey, how are you up? When do you sleep?
Sleep? What's
She's
that?
She's so adorable. I love her.
Casey is adorable. Kizo says, I think I just have to come to terms that I'll never get through my backlog. Same. I will never get through my backlog.
When I was watching Kiso stream last night, someone said their backlog has a backlog.
Ooh, the perfect amount of trees. Look at that. Look at that. It fits perfectly. All right.
Sleep, what's that, Bloodhunter?
Sleep? Warp. That was a weird sound. That sounds like a sound from, what game was it? Littlewood. When the little chompers are in the mines. It sounds like that. You think it was Spietzy? Spietzy? Alright, let's do that one. And block that tree in there. And that completed that goal. Quest fulfilled.
Good job. All right, I'm gonna go finish making that coffee real quick.
Okidoki, I'll be here.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a pot so that way Proxy can have some coffee instead of just making myself a little espresso drinky.
Is Proxy modding today or is he working?
I don't know. He hasn't gotten up yet because he's been having a lot of vertigo and has missed a lot of work lately due to the vertigo and going to the doctors and unfortunately we don't really have an answer.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's sucky, but all we gotta do is just hope it gets better, really, because some days it's better than others. Like before I went down into work, like that entire 2 weeks before that, he felt like he was in a blender every day.
Oh, poor
like
guy.
He could barely move. It was bad. So
that's unfortunate. All right, we'll go get your coffee made.
I gotta go get my coffee.
Get your coffee. You're gonna need
We're gonna
it.
have a coffee talk. Coffee talk.
That's right. That's right.
And I can tell you guys more stories of my dad and his dumbassery.
I like your dad. He's a goof.
He is a goof. He called me randomly yesterday for no reason. I'm like, okay, what's the point of the call? And he's like, well, I'm just calling because I haven't talked to you in a bit. I'm like, okay. Well, what's the content of this conversation? He's like, well, I don't know.
He's just lonely.
Get the phone. Yeah, I think with Mom having that surgery last week where she had a stent put in her heart. I think my parents are viewing mortality very differently. I think is part of that. So.
Did he try to fight another alligator?
No, he learned his lesson.
I hope so. That's a goofy mistake to make.
Yeah, my Don't throw a rock at an alligator. The thing just came out. Like, it wasn't even directed at him. He threw the rock at it and then it hauled off and chased him.
Hello, Lularo. Hi, are you a psychologist? You have the mental health tag. I am not a psychologist, but I am a licensed clinical social worker. A little bit of a different degree, but I do, yes, I'm a professional mental health practitioner. Gonna quickly get a bath. I am smelly. I love you alls. All right, Blood Hunter, get your baths. Get your baths in.
For a second, I thought it said "love you balls," not "love you alls." Damn.
You goofy. You goofy. All right, so we're gonna put this one. Let's go here. So Lularo, unfortunately, I don't think I feel comfortable going into that part of the conversation. Yes, I am a professional, but this is Twitch. I'm not able to provide that kind of advice here. What I would recommend, if you're looking to find some support about that, on my card, if you do find a therapist, they have a link to a bunch of different resources for both immediate and long-term support. Uh-oh, why isn't that working? I misspelled it. Find a therapist. Right there it goes. Yeah, we're just not able to have that part of the conversation today as part of our presentation, but I appreciate you coming in and looking for that support. It's always important to recognize that, you know, reaching out for help is real hard. It's real hard. All right, this choo-choo train. We can put that here. Maybe, no. Maybe we should start a new train. Where do I want to put a new train?
Oron be telling you
Hey, Sky.
what to do at the start of the game. Sounds like Daddy to me. Exactly. Daddy. Wait. You said Oron. Dang it.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought you meant Kamari.
Nope. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, Sky. Good morning, Sky. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hello. Yeah, we're vibing.
You're winning! You're winning at life, you're winning!
I'm trying. I'm vibing, enjoying Dorf Romantique. It's a very cute, cozy game. I like it a lot. It's very cute. But I'm trying to... I have a lot of trees that they want me to get accomplished here. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Ooh, we got a beaver lodge. That's a cool tile. Awesome. For some reason, I immediately thought Sky Sound Alert was going to be a Final Fantasy promo. Oh, a Final Fantasy promo. Why would Sky, of all people, have a Final Fantasy promo on my stream? That would be very strange. It would be really weird, because Sky doesn't really care for Final Fantasy 14. He's not into that. Oh, wait, what's this?
Did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with no restrictions on playtime?
Sky, I thought you didn't care for Final Fantasy 14 and you weren't going to play that. What was that? Where did that come from? Wasn't you? That wasn't you. It's an imposter. Oh, okay. Okay. Saucy. Very saucy indeed. Very saucy indeed. Oh, that's funny. Very funny. I can't right now. Well, it's okay if you can't right now. It's fine. It's cool. You do what you gotta do, Kiso. You do what you gotta do. Ooh. Is that village good? 16 or 8 or... Yeah. So that's too big. Was it Chef Sky? It could have been Chef Sky. I don't know. There's a lot of quirky characters that show up on Sky's channel. It's hard to keep track of them all. What was it? Last night, or not last night, a few nights ago, we met SAS. What was SAS's name? I just remember Sass. Who was Sass? Sexy Ass Sky? Was that what it was? Sexy Artist Sky? I can't remember. Sexy Artist Sky. Yeah, Sexy Artist Sky. He was painting, doing his best he could, making very questionable art. Doing what you do. It's an imposter. Yes, exactly, Emmy. Ah, okay. Too funny. Too funny. But yes, if you have not played Dwarf Romantique, I definitely recommend it.
Did you hear that there's a free trial for Final Fantasy 14 now? It includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn, as well as the award-winning expansion, Heaven's Sword. You can play up to level 60 for free, with no restrictions on playtime.
No restrictions on playtime. Thank you, Lana. I have a problem. I have an obsession, Kiso.
And Jeru says, "Good morning, S-Guy, I love you, and you are a very
So it's
sweet,
going to be
sexy
happening to
pants.
you next.
Please sue the shit out of Chef Sagai for us. He is a butthole, and not very nice to children, and he kicks puppies."
He kicks puppies? What? Oh no. I didn't know that about Chef Sky. Cancel Chef Sky. Cancel Chef Sky right now. That is awful. That is just downright awful.
This guy's a butthole.
Chef Sky is terrible. Hashtag canceled. That's right. That's right, Bloodhunter.
I mean, Sky said he is serving him and suing him on Memorial Day.
Good.
Or on May 30th. So, suck it, Chef Sky. Suck it.
I think it's that Chef Sky was really trying to steal Sky's channel from him. And I think he's getting revenge because he wasn't winning. The fans just weren't having it.
Nope.
I'm suing him. It's happening. Yes, countersue. Please do. Please do. Oh, I love all your characters. They're so funny.
Yeah, when I watch Sky's streams, I laugh so hard. There have been times I have seriously nearly peed my pants.
I would not doubt it. Sky is a master of comedy. That might have been a good choice. Oops.
I'm going to give you a heads up. Era looks like she's getting ready to go.
All right.
So,
okay.
So Raid Train's going to be here.
Okie dokie. My pants.
I've been watching her stream for the last hour. I pee my pants too, Emmy, but because of chat. I will work harder to make you piss yourself.
Do it. Do it. Oh, yeah, we're ready. We're ready. I should pull up my
I
presentation.
just realized King Odin is one of her mods, and I called it, when his name first came in, I didn't see that it said King Odin. I just read it the way I read King of the Cask's name, so I'm like, Kingadin.
Oh no.
He's sweet. Very sweet. Air's whole community is super sweet.
I always find it funny when I pop in someone's chat for the first time and they decide to call me Change. Hey Change, what's up Change? I'm like, what? Who's Change? Vector of Change, but all right, that's an interesting selection of words.
Yeah, there's somebody I watch and he calls me Jeru, and I'm like, okay.
All right, go off if that's.
Do you?
We got these trees. Happy little trees in our little mountain village. This needs exactly 8 houses. Okay, we'll work on that. Oh, I have a train over here. All right, we'll build off of that. All right, we need 2 houses. That shouldn't be hard to do. Go there. Where'd I put this one? This is just a random tile. Ooh, it liked it. Put that there. That's right, get your sound alerts off. Get them done in the next minute before everybody gets here. Happy little trees. Oh, they don't connect. They will connect there, or they'll connect not there. We'll just put it there. Put the choo-choo there.
All right, here they come.
All right, here's the raid. Farts for mental health. Let's go. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We love this. Da 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 dum ba da 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 dum ba da dum ba da 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 dum ba da dum. Hello, everybody. Welcome in for the raid train. Happy Friday. Era, thank you so much. Heck yes, surprise battle. Hey, King Odin. Hello, everybody. I'm Effector of Change. My pronouns are he, they. I'm a cozy queer RPG streamer. Thank you all for the follows. That's a lot of alerts going on at once. Happy Friday. I am here doing the mental health raid train. We are getting started. We have quite a jam-packed schedule today. So let me get some things going. So we got to get that up. I'm going to get these sound alerts a little more chill so that we can focus on our presentation. And I've got to get my presentation actually pulled up. So let me exit this game. How was the rest of your stream, Era? I was watching most of it. You were doing such a great job. Ready to take notes. Okay. We get slot 1. Let me get this presentation loaded. Give me 2 seconds and I'll get it up. It means the world that I was there and hanging out. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure during this time to connect with everybody, hear what they're talking about. It's been amazing, all the stories that we're hearing. Hey Q, good morning. Thank you for the follow, everybody. Let me get this going here. Enter full screen mode. That should be good. All right. So let me swap, get that raid panel out of our way. There it goes. So ordinarily we do different things here. We do Dungeons and Dragons, we play Final Fantasy, but today we're kind of getting my professional persona on and doing things a little bit differently. So let me get us swapped over here to our scene. Did I not put it up there? There it goes. I got it. Can I just say I love your week before finals energy? It's so kick-ass and cute. You're taking notes. Absolutely. So if you guys don't know me, yes, I'm Effector of Change. Pronouns are he, they. On Twitch, I am a cozy RPG streamer. That's kind of what I do here. Play a lot of different story-based games. But today I'm going to be having a little bit of a different vibe. I'm pulling out my professional persona. So my day job is I am a psychotherapist. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I operate a private practice. I am certified in EMDR therapy, and I specialize in treating complex PTSD and dissociation. I don't usually bring that persona with me to Twitch because I'm usually just here to have fun. I'm usually here to have fun and vibe and hang out. But I got the last minute invite to the raid train and I was like, you know, let's get out there and let's put some information on the table. So our agenda when we start today, we're going to be talking about burnout. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things related to vicarious trauma, parasocial boundaries in live streaming. At 10 o'clock, I've got a guest panel. I've got some friends coming on, and we're going to be giving you all the wrong advice on mental health, streaming, and boundaries, sharing our stories with you, and having fun with it. It's a all wrong answers podcast. It's going to be hilarious. Yes, my times are in EST. At 11, we're going to be wrapping up talking about what are the barriers to finding a therapist, and I'm going to share with you some resources that I vetted and things that I enjoy. So that's kind of the plan for today. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to focus this first hour on the presentation. There's a lot of information here. I'm going to try to get through it. Hopefully I can cover it all. If not, I'm going to give you the slides ahead of time if you're interested. Let me make sure I updated my stream title for this. I did. So please use the commands that are in the title as needed. Here is our Let's Talk. Let's pin this comment right here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about all of these things. There it goes. So some of the topics included today might include vicarious trauma, stalking, bullying, SISH, mental health challenges, and uncomfortable social dynamics. So please, you know yourself best. If you need to take a break because the content's getting too intense, by all means, I am not offended. Do what you got to do to take care of yourself first. That is primary. But those are some of the content warnings of what you might be experiencing throughout our presentation today. So I want to pin that up so you have that accessible. That link there to the drive is the slides that I'm going to be covering for this presentation. It also includes the slides for our resources that are coming up towards the end of our talk today. So feel free to go check that out if you want to download that and peek ahead at some of the things that we've got coming up. You are welcome to go do that. We have some mental health commands that we use here more regularly throughout our stream. Feel free to use those as you listen along. We also have a bot, the RTS bot, that's really cool from Guardians Mental Health. You are welcome to use that bot in your own streams to have the access to those resources on demand. But please use the things that are the commands that might be helpful to you. Again, this is part of the Mental Health Awareness Raid Train sponsored by Ari is Here. She is the one who's been coordinating and organizing. It's been 77 creators, all involved, talking about stuff, really getting into the nitty gritty of their life experiences. And so I'm here to try to provide a little bit of context of what I think we can do to be a little more mindful about our interactions with each other to try and prevent some of these problems like burnout. So a couple disclaimers. This presentation is educational purposes only. Twitch is a lovely platform. It is very supportive. It is really great, but it is not a substitute for professional mental health care. I want to state that. So this presentation is not going to be me giving medical advice. I don't think that's ethical to do in this context for many reasons, but I just want to point out that that's not the goal of this presentation. This is for education. The statements that are going to be following throughout this presentation for me are my views based on literature that I've reviewed, anecdotes of my own experiences, and my personal opinions. I am not the expert on everything. I do not claim to be. So I'm just going to share what I know, what I've experienced, and what I've read about. So just wanted to give you those disclaimers there. I am a therapist, right? I can't just say that I'm a gamer. I'm not a licensed professional. I am literally a licensed professional. But I just want to point that out, that it's still not okay for me to give that advice in this venue, in that space. So I just want to give that disclaimer before we get too deep into the nitty gritty. All right, let's get started. So here's today's Let's Talk at a glance of where we're going to be going for this first hour. So at first, we're going to be just covering some definitions, covering some terms, and using an understanding of that. So at least we kind of have a shared language of what it is we're trying to talk about. I'll be covering the signs and symptoms of burnout and vicarious trauma. We're going to be talking about what are the effects of live streaming. strategies around coping with vicarious trauma and burnout, the influence of parasocial relationships. We'll be talking about an article that I thought was really cool that covered all the different ways that people talk about mental health in live streams. And then we'll finish up going over some takeaways, some overviews about what I'm hoping you guys can take away from this talk. And obviously some resources and references will be covered towards the end of this hour before we get to our guest star panel. All right. So let us head on over and go over some important terms and definitions. So the definitions I want to cover are very specific to this presentation. We're going to be talking about vicarious trauma, which is the biggie. It's a bit of an umbrella term that covers a bunch of topics like secondary trauma, compassion fatigue. Compassion satisfaction is an interesting idea. Burnout. We're going to very briefly touch on some DSM-5 diagnoses, and we're going to talk about parasocial relationships. Again, this goal is not to go too into detail about these definitions, but just enough so we can all have a shared understanding of why this stuff's important to be thinking about as you're operating in the space online here on Twitch. So the first definition I want to cover, what is vicarious trauma? So vicarious trauma is a negative reaction to work-related trauma exposure that can lead and is sometimes used can lead to a lot of problems. It is used as an umbrella term for both things like trauma, secondary trauma, or compassion fatigue. Vicarious trauma is ordinarily used in the context of helper professions. So paramedics, therapists, teachers, nurses, police officers, right? People who are exposed to suffering of other human beings who they themselves aren't experiencing the suffering has been shown to clinically create some challenges for people. Some of the examples of risk for developing vicarious trauma, folks who maybe have their own individual trauma history are more likely to be subjected to vicarious trauma related symptoms. If you're socially isolated, both on and off your job, that's another thing that's going to have an impact. Being less experienced with work, right? And having a lack of a supportive process to discuss traumatic content. I started streaming, I think in August. So I'm big into Final Fantasy XIV, as we were just going over some of our promos earlier of some shared minded friends. I started streaming because I was interested in giving myself some accountability. I had completed Endwalker, the latest expansion, and I'm just not into the high pressures of the raiding scene. It's just not my thing, not my thing. And so I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my time. And so I made the choice to stream Final Fantasy 1, the Pixel Remastered, because I'd never played it. And I was like, well, maybe if I stream it, I can hold myself accountable and I will play it. And it turned out to be true. And so it's been really, really fun getting to know people, getting to explore content with folks, but also witnessing some things that have been going on in these spaces. And that's part of why I wanted to provide this presentation, is to offer some of my professional expertise on this matter, given what I treat, but really show that there's things that we can do to support each other. And having a lack of support, as is listed here, right, is one of those major risk factors for vicarious trauma. So I'm hoping that through this presentation and through the other 76 beautiful panels that people have been putting together in segments, that we're all really thinking about how do we be better supportive of each other, which can be a huge reduction in the amount of vicarious trauma that we all experience. So thank you all for being part of that. That's amazing. That's amazing. So a couple other terms. Secondary traumatic stress is very similar, right? It's the same idea, right? When something's going on and you're caring about somebody and you're working with them and you want to help them, those symptoms can mimic the same symptoms that you'll see in post-traumatic stress disorder. Compassion fatigue is another term that gets used, right? Physical, emotional, spiritual depletion associated with caring for others who are in significant emotional pain or physical distress. you gotta have self-care practices in place. You've got to know how to manage all of those experiences in a way that doesn't trigger your own history. So again, there is an umbrella term. I'm just going to use vicarious trauma to cover all of these terms. But when you care about other people, and this could be a relative, right? Let's say you have a parent who's aging and maybe they're, you know, having a serious a pain issue or a back issue, right? Even though you love your parent and you want to be supportive of them, the fact that they're experiencing pain is really hard. It's a lot to manage that. And so we do develop these symptoms sometimes as a result of really caring about somebody. So we've got to be aware of that. That's so real. I know, Era. It's absolutely real. It's absolutely real. So burnout is another term that I think is important. It is not quite the same as vicarious trauma. Burnout is really just about stress in your work, stress in your job, combined with the stressors of life. And the symptoms of burnout also can lead to symptoms of depression, cynicism, boredom, that loss of compassion and discouragement. And burnout is experienced in any kind of job setting, regardless of what exposure to secondary trauma you're having, when the demands of your job outweigh the balance that you're able to have for yourself. I never knew there was a term like compassion fatigue for what I feel sometimes, but I'm not surprised. Yes, yeah, compassion fatigue is a really good term to understand. It gives you less guilt when you realize, oh, I just don't have any spoons left because I've been caring so hard for this person I love. Absolutely. A related term that we're going to talk about is what's called compassion satisfaction. So some researchers have been looking into thinking, okay, all right, so we've got this idea of like what drains people, but what's a protective factor? What's a resource that we can look at? And it turns out when you're really happy with the job that you have, when you're really happy with what you do for work, it really offsets the impacts of burnout, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, all of these things. When you really like what you do, it really has an impact. So as I mentioned, right, you know, my day job, yes, I hear awful stories all day, every day of people suffering and what they're going through. And if I didn't love what I do, I wouldn't be able to sustain. I wouldn't be able to do it. And I think I've noticed that on Twitch is that when people are really streaming and they're vibing with what they're streaming, with who's showing up in their community, with how they're having a good time being entertaining and entertaining themselves, right? When stuff goes bad, like a technology failure or an uncomfortable viewer makes a weird comment, if they really like what they do, it's easier to brush that stuff off. Right. So I just want to point out it's really important to value what you do. And, you know, when you're streaming or you're involved, do the things that you enjoy, do the things that bring that to you. Otherwise, you know, you could be running the risk of that burnout. So some definitions about diagnoses. So DSM-5 is the big purple book. It was published by the American Psychiatric Association in 2013. There's a new TR text revision that is out. I haven't bought yet. But a couple ideas. So depression in general is this state of extremes, right? Lack of sleep or too much sleep, lack of appetite, too much appetite. You got those depressed mood, the physical energy gets drained, right? Depression typically occurs multiple weeks as an episode or longer. PTSD is a little bit different. Era, thank you so much for covering this for me today. But PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a diagnosis that happens about a month after exposure to a traumatic event, where we have these intrusive symptoms like flashbacks and memories of the event. We actively or unconsciously avoid reminders of that traumatic incident. It has a huge impact on our view of ourselves and the world around us and our moods. as somebody, as a clinician who specializes in treating PTSD, I think a lot of things that get diagnosed, like bipolar, like anxiety, like depression, a lot of times can be contributed to PTSD. If we have rapid mood cycling, right, where one day I'm up and one day I'm down, that's not bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is lengthy episodes, right? Oftentimes, PTSD might be a more adequate explanation of what's going on in terms of symptomology. A benefit I see in treating PTSD compared to a diagnosis like depression is that PTSD is an adaptation to a maladaptive environment, right? It's a way that we've learned to survive. It's a way we've learned to deal with situations. Era went over it beautifully, right? Fight, flight, freeze, right? All of these F words. We fawn, we overreact in being nice, right? There's lots of things that are involved, but PTSD is much bigger than I think we realize. Anxiety is about that excessive worry, right? About situations. It goes on for at least 6 months. Just some general ideas about these diagnoses. Our goal is not to really go into detail about those today. Lots of information out there on the web, but feel free to go check those out. DSM's a really interesting read. And another term that I want to define for you guys today is, what is a parasocial relationship? So a parasocial relationship is defined as a one-sided, intimate connection with a media performer, someone like a streamer, based on repeated encounters. The streamer, or the media person, does not reciprocate an equivalent amount of support to their audience, right? It's a non-reciprocated relationship. Right now, I'm on stream. Y'all are paying attention to me. I am talking. I have full control over who gets banned, right? If I chose to, or my mods can, right? That power difference has a big impact on different things. We'll go into detail about that today. But that's what a parasocial relationship is. It's a non-reciprocal imbalance of a dynamic. Very important to know that. So what are the signs and symptoms of vicarious I skipped this page. What are the signs and symptoms of vicarious burnout and trauma? So VT has a lot of different things that you can look out for. Intrusive imagery, nightmares, having that increased fear of safety for yourself or your loved ones, avoiding violent stimuli in media, difficulty listening to the streaming community's accounts of events, right? When a viewer pops in another stream and you're just kind of chilling and they're like, oh my God, I had an awful day today. And you get like this chest tightening feeling, like, I'm really annoyed. I just wanted to vibe. It's a dwarf romantic right now. That could be a sign, you know, that you might be experiencing some VT because of what you've been witnessing and experiencing. So emotional numbing, longer term reactions can include that physical or emotional depletion, a sense of hopelessness, that view of cynicism. Sometimes when I see these hot takes on streamer Twitter, the clinician in me really sees that these are signs and symptoms that people are experiencing vicarious trauma without really having the language or the understanding of that's what they're experiencing. When someone gets really bitter, oftentimes this is what's happening to them. So it's really important that you understand the risks of VT, what to look out for, and what you can do about it. Burnout, you know, that condition that's just related to work stress, is important to understand as well, because burnout is associated with increased risk of headaches, heart problems, breathing issues, mortality under the age of 45, diabetes, physical pain can be correlated with burnout, depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, problems with your GI tract, right? Huge physical and mental issues often are the results of unmanaged burnout. So burning out is not something you want to be doing in the long term for your own mental and physical health. So live streaming, it's a thing that we do here, right? We're on Twitch. We have a good time. We always love to hang out and vibe and do what we do. What are its effects? So in the third quarter of 2019, Twitch, YouTube Gaming, and Mixer combined generated over 3.32 billion hours watched. That's more than 131 million live hours, with an average of nearly 1.6 million concurrent viewers. And this statistic is pre-pandemic, mind you. That's 2019, right? Streaming is huge right now. It is a lot of people viewing this content. So the question that we might want to ask, why? Why do people consume media? So a lot of research that I reviewed says that people consume media to try and meet 5 different types of their needs. And I see this lining up very, very nicely with what I've seen in Twitch from my own personal experience and with others. So the first one is a lot of people turn to media because they want to learn, right? So Tears of the Kingdom just dropped, the new Legend of Zelda game. And if I'm somebody who's like, I kind of want to buy it, but $75 is a big deal, maybe I just want to see someone else stream, so I have that information of whether or not this might be an enjoyable experience for me. Or if somebody is doing a challenge run or trying to do a completionist run of Final Fantasy IX, right? I might be on this platform because I want to learn, I want to get information. We have affective needs that get met by consuming media, right? So when I'm vibing in a community, I'm watching streams with people I like. Coffee, easily coffee, yes. We get those emotional needs satisfied. Thank you for the raid, Shane. I'll appreciate you. Welcome in, friends. Welcome, raiders. Yes, we are doing a presentation right now about managing burnout, vicarious trauma, and parasocial boundaries. There are some content warning tags up there. Feel free to use those tags as you need them, but welcome on in. So yes, affective needs that get met. That means feelings, right? Streaming gives you joy. Streaming gives you enjoyment. I've had it happen where I'm having a bad day or stressed out, and I'm like, oh, one of my favorite people's live. Let me pop in, and their joy becomes infectiously my joy. Another big reason people engage with this content, it's personal integrative. A lot of backseating, I think, is about trying to meet this need. I had a live streamer that I was modding for, and somebody popped in. She was playing a bit of a niche game, and they kept backseating despite me and the other moderators trying to give the signal like, hey, like, I appreciate it. You know, let her figure it out. She wants to figure this out. Please stop backseating. We had to time him out so many times. And I think it's because he was trying to meet this personal integrative need. He was basing his own sense of credibility on being able to know the game better than the streamer, right? I think that is a big contributing factor of why you see that is people affiliate their own sense of self-esteem into what they're trying to do in the platform. Social integrative, right? A lot of people stream because this is your connections. You make friends, you find people that you like, you enjoy, right? Communities get built big on Twitch. And attention release, obviously, it's similar to affective. Having that escapism, jumping into a story, right, gets you out of your mindset of what's going on with your work life. Huge need that you meet by engaging in live streaming. So social media usage has increased by 61% over normal usage rates during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So it is increasingly becoming a coping strategy for people to manage their mental health by engaging in this platform, engaging in this content. The average user on Twitch spends about 95 minutes a day watching a live stream. 82% of the users on Twitch are male. 55% of those users are between the ages of 18 and 34, with the average user on Twitch being age 21. That's important. That's important to understand. So thinking about that demographic, right? Those young adults are often experiencing these life transitions. They're moving out of their homes with increased independence. They're starting college, right? Or work. Maybe relationships are starting to evolve romantically or friendship. They're finding their identity. They're finding their purpose. They're learning all of these early lessons in life. And this is, the pretty common demographic of what you see on this platform. the difficulties that arise, right, when we're not able to overcome those developmental life transitions, right, on top of other general academic, social, or financial stress, right, that can also lead to anxiety and depression. So I'm just trying to point out that the viewers on Twitch are very much vulnerable to the effects of vicarious trauma that we talked about just a moment ago. So categorizing streams. I don't know if this is a good definition, but I've kind of organized streams into three categories. So some streams are very competitive focused, right? Think about esports, where a lot of people are they're here to try to, you know, do a competitive game. There's not a lot of interaction with the viewers. They're too focused on their gameplay, right? They're not really interacting. Community focused streamers, which I think is by far the most common kind of streamer, this is where you're streaming, but there's a lot of conversation between you, the streamer, and the audience, right? You're having those conversations, and it often goes beyond the game that's being played. I have a lot of friends that I connect with that consider themselves to be just chatting mains, right? They're awesome, lovely people. And then micro celebrities are another category there. That's kind of like, you know, Critical Role, right? Where there's hundreds of people. There's absolutely no way that that streamer can interact with their audience. So thinking about those three types of live streams, and again, thinking about those risk factors for vicarious trauma, right? That prior trauma history, that social isolation, that lack of experience, less of support, those age demographics, right? All of that shows you that degree of community interaction, both on and off the stream, this subgroup of community-focused streamers are at the highest risk for this vicarious trauma, the burnout that comes with that, and depression and anxiety. So if you're a streamer, if you're engaged in these kinds of community-focused streams, this is really important for you to take away. You gotta know what to do. You gotta know those signs, and you gotta know how to cope with it. So there's a lot of different ways in the literature that I've discovered on ways that people will often cope with vicarious trauma and burnout. Education is probably the number one strategy that's researched about this particular topic. This presentation that you are all participating in is considered psychoeducation, right? We're talking about these symptoms. We're talking about self-care and stress management skills. We're not going to necessarily go into developing some individual care plans, but I see in the chat right now, there's some peer support going on live, right? So this presentation, in a sense, is an intervention for you guys. I just want to throw that out there. Speaking of, hi, Dark, yeah. Some other strategies for coping with vicarious trauma include mindfulness meditation, yoga, body movement. Era, you spoke beautifully about this morning, just talking about how all that has helped you with your mental health. The literature agrees with you. You are 100% correct. Taking care of your body takes care of your mind. There are some other alternatives: acupuncture, Reiki, online poetry, drum groups. There's no one size fits all answer here. But just be mindful. What do you have in your life that helps you cope with that daily stress of life? What kind of support do you have? Hugely important. So something I want you guys to all be aware of is a measure called the Professional Quality of Life Scale. So this is an evidence-based element. And you are all welcome. I updated this to match our community's guidelines. So I put like the streamer community, you know, when I stream. If you want to test this for yourself to figure out where you rate right now on the scales of compassion, satisfaction, burnout, and secondary traumatic stress, please go fill this out. So there are two versions of the scale. One is a PDF. If you want just the PDF and you can print it out, you can write on it, you can scribble on it, you can do it there. The one that says make a copy, that's a scoreable version. You literally just punch your numbers in, it's going to make a copy. You have to log into your Google account. But if you fill that out, it will score it for you, and you'll get those measures of where you are at right now in terms of those factors. Highly recommend, please, if you are a streamer, if you are involved, if you're hearing what I just said earlier about the signs and symptoms of vicarious trauma, and you're like, oh, that kind of sounds like me, do this for yourself, for your own information, so you know where you're at. I think it's important to do. So I did work hard to get that to match because it said different language, but please go do that. Please go do that. So, whoop, I just clicked it. I opened it. My bad. The influence of parasocial relationships is something else that's important to be mindful of. Good morning, Lana. Hello. Welcome in. So a reminder, right? A parasocial relationship is that non-reciprocal, one-sided relationship dynamic. It's not equal, right? It's an imbalance. It's an imbalance to recognize. But that parasocial relationship is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. So this article was talking about that interactions with chat from a streamer has a huge effect on the size of an audience, right? People really like to be acknowledged and heard by streamers. That's part of why they participate in this particular media. Many audience members are often rewarded by streamers for, with donations, through financial giving feedback, through alerts, word sounds. This morning, when I had my sound alerts active, right, we got to see some of the Final Fantasy 14 promos. I have Lana was on there. Who else had one? Emmy had hers come up. We saw Skies today, right? Lots of fun. Lots of good times were had there. But that interaction could be really helpful. It can be really helpful in building that up. Take your meds. Sorry, those alerts are turned off, but please take your meds. So thinking about values and beliefs, when the audience of a streamer realizes that their values match up, that they're the same, that increases the attachment and influence in that relationship, right? So in my chat, I have a stream redemption that says trans lives matter, right? And so people can click it and you get a little pop-up that says trans lives matter. And so if an audience member pops in here and they see that I share in that value with them and they have that belief, we've already increased the value that I'm now offering to their entertainment, because I'm somebody that they trust a little bit better, right? A streamer attitude, right? When you have a positive attitude, when you're engaging with content, when you're streaming, when you're having a good time, your positive emotions can be contagious to your viewers. So being a nasty grumpy grump is less likely to result in good engagement, right? People want to enjoy what you're enjoying. I've seen one of those hot takes about like what you should or shouldn't stream. My opinion, based on this information, stream whatever the heck you want. Borrowing the words of Lana, it's your show. It's your show, right? If you are enjoying what you're playing, your audience will enjoy you. Please play what you enjoy, play what you have on. And if you're bored, switch up the game. I do that. I was like, I'm just going to play Final Fantasy 14 right now because that's what I want to do. It was a good time. So some more impacts, right, that parasocial relationships have. A parasocial relationship can satisfy affective behavioral or cognitive needs, those things we talked about earlier. It impacts our spending habits and our opinions. It helps us to develop as well as less prejudiced individuals, which is also important to understand. The influence you have there when you're streaming. It can help to increase the adherence to social norms and lead to a higher level of enjoyment of media. And Twitch can foster that sense of community, which impacts health-related decisions. In my state, I live in New York State. We had a Governor Cuomo, during the pandemic, and he had Chris Rock come to his little governor's state of the state weekly meeting about the COVID-19 pandemic because he was trying to get these celebrities to spread these positive self-health messages, because it was used as a tool as a health campaign, right? If you like that celebrity and the celebrity's like, hey, wear a mask, your likelihood of wearing a mask goes up. Right? The same thing applies here, and it's something that you, if you're a streamer, need to be aware of. What influence you have over your audience what they do, what they believe, what they know. It is a big responsibility that you need to be mindful of when you're interacting and you're streaming and entertaining folks. So please be thinking about that as you go about your daily lives. So a really cool article I found talked about different ways that streamers will talk about mental health during live streams. From a viewer's perspective, many streamers opt to respond to conversations inadequately, right? Somebody comes in and they're like not feeling great, and they brush it off because they don't know what to do. I also think that burnout vicarious trauma has an impact here, right? When you are tired and you've heard it, you don't have the best strategy. Oftentimes people will use a scripted response to mental health. They're uncomfortable. They don't know what to do. Some things that were discussed was how some people will talk about mental health on the stream. Some people talk about mental health off the stream. Some people will use Discord or other social media, right, to facilitate those conversation, or they'll offer resource links, right, and send people for a referral outside. In terms of on stream, right, some streamers choose to talk about it woven throughout as part of what they do. Some people choose to have those discussions contained to like a one-time charity event. I know a streamer that one of their things that they do is they have a half-hour segment where they're like, all right, give me all your stuff, put it all out here. Let's all complain. Let's all vent. Let's get it out. And so now that we've gotten that out of the way and we've supported each other, let's get on with the show and let's have fun, right? I'm not trying to tell anyone how to run their show. I just want you to be thinking about critically, how do you do these things? What do you want to do about these things? What is your mission? What is your why? How do you have this conversation? Sometimes those conversations about mental health are brought up by the streamer. Sometimes those conversations about mental health are brought up by the audience, right? I have a bunch of alerts that talk about mental health stuff all the time. Whether it's through my Twitch point redemptions, my timers, right? Commands that people use. I think it's important to have those conversations in my stream. But you have to decide for yourself how that matches with your value, with your brand, and what you want to do. So again, thinking about who is initiating those conversations, right? Sometimes like Emmy was spamming my text-to-speech bot. It's not active right now, so don't try to use it now. But when she was doing that, you know, she gets a little voice message to pop up. And I read narratives of stories where someone was like, this is my last $5. I'm going to end my life. And it pops up live in someone's stream, right? That's an extreme example. But sometimes chat is going to initiate these conversations. This is an opinion. This is not me telling you what you should or shouldn't do. This is an opinion that I think if we have a conversation and we have a culture in our streams about how those conversations go and what's on the table and what's not on the table, I think you're less likely to get caught unawares by a situation like the one I just described. Throwing that out there, something to consider. So a lot of times you'll see in this article by Gandhi Cook Lamostra, it's in the resources if you want to get access to it. By the way, if anybody wants a copy of the handouts, let me just post that again in the chat. There's some new folks here. The slides are right there. If you want to take a look at that on your own, you are welcome to review the slides. Different kinds of conversations happen. Sometimes people will read articles while they're gaming. They'll have a guest star come on, like a therapist or a psychiatrist, or they'll share their own experience. I've been seeing tons of that during the raid train. Connecting with viewers, right, including sharing certain professional resources, more common for a streamer to dedicate a whole stream. We've got the Find a Therapist link, right? My card has a whole bunch of awesome links for resources there. And some people choose to moderate mental health discussions. You got to be mindful though, the trolls are still a big part of streaming. I'm shocked my mods haven't had to get their fists out yet for this talk today, because that just comes up. That comes up a lot. Again, because people don't have good tools for managing those symptoms of burnout. I'm ready. Thanks, Emmy. Viewers who watch streams for gameplay related reasons, such as learning about strategies used by other players or just to be entertained, they're going to respond very differently to those who just want to watch to be part of a community, right? If I'm watching a raid race, right, of Final Fantasy 14, and I'm engaged with that content, that's probably not a place I'm gonna, you know, look for that emotional support. So different streams, different types of streams are going to get different kinds of interactions with this topic. So be mindful about what kind of stream you're having, and we all bounce between different kinds of streams, right? There's no one specific stream that you're locked to, but be mindful that what you're streaming is going to have an impact on what kind of material is going to come up. And they also talked in this article about what are some of the ranges of reactions to talk during mental health streams. Sometimes you'll see that emotional response, right? Either negative or positive reaction. Sometimes viewers will be providing support, not just the streamer. Sometimes spreading awareness happens to end some stealth signa. And respect, right? Oftentimes when people, this is something I've been experiencing, as people get out there and talk about their experience and stand up for things or offer insights, I do feel more respect for that individual. I do feel more respect for that individual because it takes a lot to get up here and put your face on a camera and talk. And to be open and vulnerable while you're doing it is huge, huge. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of this. I'm making good time. I'm really impressed. Hi Shar, hi Rune, hi Megan, hi everybody. So some takeaways, some things I just want to review about this conversation. One of them is, again, that people will engage with live streaming as a means of meeting their essential human needs. They're trying to learn how to master a game. They're trying to cope with their life. They're trying to find a community that supports their personal values, right? There's a lot of important human needs that we're all meeting by engaging in live streaming. Another takeaway is that your success and growth, if you are a streamer, relies primarily on fostering that attachment within a curated community of people who share your beliefs and values, right? So be mindful of that. Be thinking about that. Who is in your corner and who are you connecting with? Interventions, right? Thinking about those community-based streamers. You know, the majority, I think, of the bread and butter that builds Twitch, at least the people I engage with, those community-based streamers and their audiences are some of the most vulnerable to the effects of that vicarious trauma we talked about and the associated long-term effects of depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. So education, right, like we're having in this training, doing some mindfulness skills and peer support all have been shown really effective at mitigating those risks associated with exposure to vicarious trauma. Again, I'm going to plug the ProQOL. Feel free to go do that for your own knowledge of where you line up on those scales of compassion, fatigue, compassion, satisfaction, and burnout. Knowing those signs and knowing where you're at is an important step to you making a plan in mitigating those challenges. So, parasocial, right? Those non-reciprocal relationships between a streamer and the audience are very effective at influencing decision-making, attitudes, beliefs, and emotions. You gotta be responsible if you're engaging on this platform, because know that you have an impact. People hear you, people listen to you, people like what you have to say, and they're gonna run with that, whatever you're sharing. So you've really got to learn to establish and maintain boundaries with your community. That's a really important responsibility to have. Again, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to run their show. That's not my goal today. My goal is to just point out the significance and the importance of what you're doing and why. Compassion, satisfaction. Again, loving what you do for your work is another mitigating factor. So really be thinking, you know, is this something I enjoy? Is this game something that's going to make me happy? Is standing up for this or participating in this event something that's going to bring me joy, right? When you're making your decisions, doing it from a place of what you enjoy is very important, not only for your success and growth on the platform, but for your mental health as well. I think I said this already. I'm going to beat this over the head. Stream what brings you joy. Enjoying your stream is what fosters that growth. And live streaming provides a unique opportunity to foster a more developed worldview and attitudes towards marginalized individuals. I had done my very first fundraising stream for the Trans Day of Visibility, having conversations about the awful legislation that's sweeping throughout the nation. We had some time to talk about the positive progress as well, but I felt really good sharing what I shared, doing what I did, raising money for the Trans Lifeline, and ultimately really shaping people's attitudes about, wow, that's really crappy. I can't believe that's happening in 2023. Absolutely despicable. And just recognize that the platform that you have here on this platform can be an extremely effective tool at affecting change on a greater scale. Even if it's just one person who hears what you have to say and it is meaningful to them, that is one more positive change that you just made out in the world. So be really thinking about that. Thank you, Shah, for the subby wubby. Appreciate you. Again, there is a very large variety of ways that streamers engage in conversations about mental health. Some people have it spontaneously, some people decide to do personal disclosure, and sometimes people choose to have those one-time charity events. There's no right or wrong way to be talking about mental health in a live streaming platform. But think about it. Think about why you're doing it. Think about how you're doing it. It's important to recognize that. Choosing to highlight mental health as an aspect of your streaming community's norms is a very powerful intervention in reducing stigma about mental health, and it also helps take care of any self-stigma that you're experiencing yourself, right? I've kind of seen that. There was some self-disclosures I saw this week where people were like, you know what, I was really anxious to get up here and talk about my experience and be open about it. And maybe there were some internalized feelings of shame or guilt, but you know what? By being on that stream and being open, I guarantee you, each and every one of those streamers feels a little bit better about their own experience as a result of standing up and talking about it. So it helps you, it helps the community to really be highlighting mental health and having those conversations. So please do that. Please do that. Thank you, Lana. Resources and references. So I'm going to be plugging a bunch of references in the third hour of our conversation today. So some ones I'm going to plug real quick. The Vicarious Trauma Toolkit, I got some information about for this presentation. They have a lot of cool handouts, PDFs. It's got a website with a lot of great information there. Feel free to go check that out. Guardians Mental Health is a nonprofit organization. They have a streaming channel. They've been doing their own mental health awareness month, which has been fabulous to participate in. I have a bot, the RTS bot. You do RTS. So here live in the channel, it does do some awesome things. You can learn about resources and get some links right in the chat. You can add that bot right to your Discord community if you happen to have Discord. And then they also just have a website with lots of resources and links about any topic you could think of possibly. The Mental Health Association, MHA National, is kind of a central website. If you Google Mental Health Association plus whatever your city is, whatever location you're in, I guarantee you're going to find information about local peer groups, different supports of the community. A lot of times you'll find mental health first aid trainings available, a lot of times for free. So if you're a streamer and you're like, I feel like I need some education to better have conversations about mental health, please consider, going to one of those first aid trainings. I think it would benefit you. It would benefit your community to just know what to do when somebody comes in and you need to have that conversation. Another thing I discovered when I was looking into resources, did you know Twitch? Twitch has their own mental health cares page. So Twitch themselves have literally created their own section to kind of have those conversations. I thought that was really neat to see. And again, the ProQOL linked here. Feel free to go check out that resource if you're interested in getting your own understanding of where you are on that burnout. Please feel free to go do that. Go to Twitch. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Yeti. So the references are here. If you want to read any of those articles, they are all here on that PDF. Again, I'll link it here so you can take a look and download that. And I made good time. Holy heck, it's 9:53. I didn't think I was going to get through all of that today. I am so happy. I am so happy with our timing. My goodness. My goodness. That was great. That was great. So coming up today, again, our agenda, in about 5 minutes or so, we're going to get ready to have the how to not trauma dump wrong answers only guest star panel about self-care, mental health, and boundaries in streaming. I've already see a lot of my guests popping in chat, bunch of wonderful, oh, that's the wrong button. I wanted to click this button. Here are my panelists. Sharpops here, Lana Kane, Sky, and What's Up, It's Q. We're going to spend an hour getting silly, answering all the wrong advice questions. So if you want to submit any questions for our panel, right there is the form for the how to not trauma dump panel. Just fill out those questions. We have access to that, and we will, you're very good at trauma dumping. If you fill that out, we'll have the answers to those questions, and when we get to that segment of doing the Q&A, we'll be able to answer your questions live. But if you do have questions, again, use !trauma dump to get access to that form. So I'm going to take a quick ad break to refill my beverage and get things set up for the panel. So I'll be right back, my friends. So don't go too far. We'll be back very, very soon. Okay. If I can get my thing. Please feel free to use this break for your own self-care. You know, if you haven't taken your medication, vitamins, right? This is a friendly reminder. Go ahead and do that. Get a little snacky snack. Go refill your beverage. Do the things that you need to do. And we'll be back very soon to continue talking about mental health. Take your meds. Yes. Something about, I don't even know what that word is. I really don't know.
Oh my god, yes, daddy. Give it to
Oh
me,
my
daddy.
God.
Yes, daddy.
I didn't
Harder, daddy.
say
Give it to me,
it.
yes, daddy.
I didn't
Harder, being
even
such a
say
bad
it,
girl,
y'all.
daddy. Harder, being such a bad girl, daddy.
I
Don't
didn't
stop,
say the
daddy.
word.
Harder,
I
daddy.
just
Don't
read
stop,
the
daddy. Harder,
word.
daddy.
I didn't
promise
say
I will be a good
it.
girl, daddy. I promise I will be a good girl, daddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, so thank you everyone. I'm so excited. Hold on. I usually stream at 11 p.m. So glad you're on a better time frame. I got you. It's been a blast watching tonight. You are so hilarious. I'm going to head to bed. We should hang out while you're in town. Good night and happy streaming. Thank you so much, Simone. That's so sweet of you. Absolutely. Yes, please message me on Facebook. I would love to hang out. I'll be here off and on in the summertime, like literally till August.
Alright, I'm unmuted. Let's switch to scene 2. Hello. Oh no. Why am I a little baby?
Hello.
Hi. I don't.
I can hear you, Char.
Okay, cool.
We can't hear.
Why did I turn into a little baby?
We can't.
That's weird. What the heck?
You're cool, Megan.
Megan is cool, true.
Shar, you're just a little
Hi,
tiny
Megan.
chili. Cute.
Facts, no cap.
A Sharbot notification. Not Emmy, it's real. I
For real,
live.
for real, Q.
Tell me if you know it's real.
Hey,
Oh,
Shar.
Char, what's the problem? You can't get your camera working?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I normally use an avatar anyway, but I actually put makeup on, so, you know.
Aww.
I would have been willing, but it doesn't want to play ball, so, you know, it's all good.
Did you have the browser allow your camera to be set up?
I did, and it just doesn't want to, it doesn't like it. That's fine, I can be a chibi.
Megan,
Is
don't
it-
talk
Look
to
how
him.
cute
He
I am.
sucks.
I got you. I got you, Shar. Here you are. We'll put up your picture.
Is it picking up your camera, and then when you press it, it doesn't
love it.
activate?
Yeah, it just doesn't activate. It did
He's
like a pop-up.
He's just trying to trick you.
What does that mean?
When you open OBS and then you have your
Yeah.
camera set up and everything, if you have OBS on now, that might be the problem because then your camera is set up to your OBS instead of
That
Google
actually is
Chrome.
true.
I didn't have. Well, I did have it open when I opened this, and then I closed it. It's been a
But
while
okay.
since I've streamed, FYI.
It's all good.
But if you
Good.
have your OBS open instead of like closing it, and if your camera works on your OBS, like you can see yourself, then you
Okay,
can press start virtual camera on the side panel where it says like going live, and then you can choose the virtual camera in the settings on Guest Star.
Okay, I will set that up because I don't normally use a camera on stream, so I will
If I
play
just
with that.
want
Okay.
And you may
Alright.
get a face at some point.
While we're figuring out difficulties, let me introduce the panel. Everybody who's just joining us, if you haven't already met me, I'm a Vector of Change. My pronouns are he, they. I am a licensed psychotherapist and a role-playing game streamer. We are going to be doing a panel called How to Not Trauma Dump. We're going to be going over some silly experiences about some real
can't hear him.
topics. Oh, am I muted on stream? Hold up. I'm not muted on stream. I'm muted on
I
Guest
didn't even
Star.
realize. I was like, hold up.
I'm muted on Guest Star. Hold on. I got this. I've been talking to you guys. Been talking this whole time and you couldn't even hear me.
No.
I'm
No,
so
you're
sorry,
not.
guys. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
It's okay.
They could hear me on the stream. Y'all just couldn't hear me.
Uh-huh.
We was vibing. We was vibing.
It was like you were having a secret conversation. We weren't allowed to.
That's right. That's right.
I get it.
But yes, we are in the segment right now called How to Not Trauma Dump. We're going to be talking about our silly experiences about things like burnout, vicarious trauma, working on boundaries, working on our self-care. But we're going to be giving you all the wrong advice. So if you want to participate in the conversation and you want us to answer your questions, please do _trauma dump or fill out that form right there. And we'll get to that during the Q&A segment. So I, again, am a Vector of Change. Joining me, we've got a fabulous group of panelists. Let me give you a link to everybody so you can give them a follow and give them all the love. So I guess the question I want to just ask you guys first, who are you and what are you putting out in the world? Let's start with you, Lana.
Oh my. Hi, I'm Lana Kane, she, her. I am a variety streamer in the Just Chatting main, and if I had to say what I'm trying to put out in the world, it would definitely be being confident in being your best self, and that it's never too late to go after what it is that you want to do.
Excellent. The question we just got, what is vicarious trauma? We just covered that in the first hour. So if you want to take a look at those handouts, please feel free to go download those right there where we went over the definition of that. But basically it just means when you're working and you're exposed to people's hard times, has an impact on you. All right, thank you, Lana. We also have Sky. Sky, who are you and what are you putting out in the world?
This is actually Sky, not Chef Sky here today. I am a variety streamer. I talk a lot. I love doing skits and sketches on my channel, and I'm big into all things feel good So I'm trying to spread good vibes, good energy. Love the world is yours. That is my motto. So sending people the reminder that they can be the best version of themselves, as long as they, seek out the best version of themselves.
Heck yeah. And we've got What's Up, It's Q.
Hi everybody. My name is Q, and I am a streamer. I'm not exactly sure what we do on our channel lately, but I do know that we have a lot of fun, and how do you introduce? You gotta be there, man. You gotta be there. You gotta be there. I don't know, man. I don't know. We play RPGs and stuff, and we vibe on like a daily. But we rail and listen to Backyardigans. Exactly.
That sounds right.
There we go. Good general description. But hi, it's nice to meet everybody. I'm here, and thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you for being up so early, West Coaster. Shar, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Yeah, as long as you're happy with me just being animated.
That's cool.
Because Cam does not want to work today. Okay. Hi, I'm Shar. I am currently on a very long break from streaming. I normally, or previously, would stream Chaos, Cozy Games, Trombone Champ, just whatever, but I've been on a break for mental health, and also because I've been busy with work. I am a doctor for a living, but not a mental health doctor. I'm actually a urologist, so wrong end of the body. But I have a vested interest in mental health and try to promote positivity and safety and create a safe space for our little community. So yeah, that's it. That's all she got.
Excellent. All right, so we're gonna start off. We're gonna do some hot takes for you guys. Some hot takes of how to not trauma dump. We're just gonna go one at a time, and we're gonna go through them. Does everybody have their hot takes? Their one-liners? Yeah. We ready? All right. So I guess we'll just go in order. So we'll go Shar, Lana, Sky, Q, and then me, and then back to Shar, and we're gonna do 5 apiece. So I'll start. Here we go. Are we ready? So first hot take of the night, day, depending on where you are, I guess. Make sure that you post your community Discord link everywhere on the internet, including pasting it in other streamers' chats so that you can really make sure you grow your community and following.
Great. I think that's actually perfect advice.
You know what? Taking notes.
Take notes. Get that notebook out.
Can I get my paper out? Here, I'm ready.
It's all about that self-promo.
Yeah. This is the advice that I need to hear. Thank you.
Yes. There you go.
All right, Shar, you're up.
It's keeping it pretty general. Trauma dump advice. Just bring it on people. Like, surprise! Here's my trauma. Out of nowhere. Just like to keep people on their toes.
Heck yeah. Keep them on their toes. Thank you, Shar. Pretty woman. Okay. All right. Go off. Lana.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
This is one of my first ones. So I think you should definitely trauma dump by creating a PowerPoint dedicated specifically to the trauma that you've gone through, especially if it's your exes, and you want to make sure to get their faces, their socials, and all of that, and just give like a nice presentation of how they've wronged you and hurt you, and shout out to Vinny. You just want to make sure it's a nice, complete show. So I think that personally, Era gets me. Make it a community night. Get some snacks involved. Get some rewards. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I'm always here for snacks.
You know what? Say. Doxing your enemies. I dig it.
Beautiful. Great advice. All right,
so
Sky.
We'll start there.
Sky, what do you got for us?
Oh, I got the best one. Ready? So, in order to promote mental health awareness and also not to trauma dump, I think it's really important to always stay up way too late in the middle of the night, especially after a stream, perhaps maybe until like 6:30 a.m. knock out, only to realize you have a collab the next morning and have to wake up. I think it's a great idea. And you know what, to make that better, you actually message somebody who's in the collab and go, hey, do me a favor, like wake me up because I'm not gonna be up. Definitely didn't happen. Definitely prioritized my mental health this morning.
Yes, you totally did. Yes, can confirm.
Doing great. Professional streamer over here.
You have your priorities straight, and that's really what matters.
That is true. This is true.
Facts. All right, Q, what you got for us?
In an effort to, if you have the need to trauma dump in somebody's community and chat, I think the number one way to do, especially as a first chatter, is to go, can I ask a question? That can really set the mood and the tone to really prepare everybody for what is about to come.
That is a great open liner for first time chatting, for sure. Okay. All right, another.
I'm literally gonna spit out my tea.
I had to mute myself. Oh my god.
Can I ask a question though? It's so funny. All right, I got one for you. So you definitely want to shut down talking about any challenges people are facing in your streams, because you're a positive vibe only main. You don't want none of that going on up in your chat, and no one's gonna relate anyway, so you might as well just turn that right around.
Exactly. I've been saying this since day one, baby.
There couldn't be anything possibly toxic about
We're in the AM, right? This is not a DJ stream. This is
This
AM.
is morning. Shots fired. So early.
All right, Shire, what you got?
All I got is content warnings. Don't even know her.
That's a good one.
That was great. All right, Lana, you up?
That's a good one. Okay, I actually witnessed this one live, and I was like, you know what? Yes, I stand this. Definitely coming if you want to, not trauma dump, or you want to trauma dump in the best way. I think it's great when you come in and you say something, and then you when the person misses it, you really let them know how you feel about the fact that you missed it. So you keep sending the same messages over and over again, maybe get a little, put a little pep in it just to make sure that they see you're there, and I don't know, 10, 20, 100 times, because they missed it, and they just need to see it again and again and again.
You're only helping them out.
I mean, honestly, and the added caps and language just adds to that spice. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of a fu. Can we swear? Is that okay? Or I don't a little bit of a fuck you, a little bit of a you dumb blah blah blah.
Lana got that go ahead to curse, and she said it so fluently and naturally. I thought there would be like a little bit of a hesitation, but she was like,
I got the green light.
You do what you gotta do. This is a mental health awareness stream. We gotta swear sometimes to get it out.
Arrow gets me.
All right, Sky, what lovely advice do you have for the people?
I really think it's so wonderful when let's say a streamer expresses their boundaries of like maybe not feeling the vibes of like a trauma dump session, because sometimes we just want to hang out and vibe and play a video game, and then we proceed to trauma dump anyways, because that's what we want, that's the energy that we love. I really prefer that. So if that ever it's ever the case, setting boundary, what we've learned is setting boundaries does not matter, right? Definitely that.
That's right.
A boundary? What's that? We don't need those.
Yeah, who needs boundaries?
They're
Who
just
needs
pretend.
boundaries? I don't.
They're just pretend.
Yeah,
It's the
they're just fake lines. They're fake lines, anyways.
I can't even see them.
Fake news.
Fake news. The fact that I can see Emmy right now.
Fake news. Oh god.
All right, Q, you're up. Tell us your wisdom.
I've noticed in my many years of streaming and professionalism on this platform that the number one way that you can support your community and provide entertainment for your community is to never read your chat. All right, it's your show. The chat has nothing to do with it. It's your content. You out here, you grinding through. Don't let Kyan outshine you. All right. You can be your own person, and you can be the star, baby. I promise you, you can be the star.
Kyan always just trying to steal that damn spotlight. God damn it.
Is everything okay on your streams, Q?
It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. It's okay. I'm doing well.
Try to help. Sure?
Okay. I have so much fun.
Okay.
Speaking of the need for peer support, right? All right.
Guys, please.
Make sure that the people who come to your stream are really aware that it's forbidden for them to be posting up in your Discord when you're live, because if they got the time to be posted in your Discord, they should be instead listening to you streaming, right?
Ooh, that's a damn. Wow.
Oh, these are too good. This could totally be clipped out of context. That's the way my head. That's the way my head's like. Oh gosh, the way any of it.
And if you sprinkle it out in between each other, you know, like instead of just having it back to back between all of us, it's like one day just Sky and saying some out of pocket shit.
Next day.
Well, it's on my stream, so I guess it's fine.
Like, I don't know why Effector is catching all these out of pocket like.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
All right, share us your wisdom.
Okay, so I think one of the most important things as a streamer is that if somebody starts dumping on you, you got to jump right back on them, you know, because this is about you. You know, you're the streamer, you are the star of your show. If they want to dump on you, you got to give it right back, and you got to make it all about yourself, baby.
That's right. It's your show. It's your show. Lana says that all the time.
You gotta hit him with a 1-2. It's a boxing fight. It's a boxing match.
Listen, it's your show. It's my show. It's my mental breakdown. I've said it before. You know what I'm saying? Watch it like a car crash and let it happen.
This is a competition, like, and I have it worse off than all of you bitches.
Oh no!
Don't fight! Don't fight! Don't fight! Oh my god.
All right, Lana, hit us.
Okay. You know, I Should I?
You tell me. Should you?
You know, do it. You know, my favorite type of trauma dumping, you know, I think the best reaction to trauma dumping is after you as a streamer, after kind of being like, you know, I shared something that I really didn't plan on, but I feel like I should, you know, or maybe I'm just sharing something with you in relation to a game, with the other person likes to turn around, kind of like Char said, but, you know, essentially attack you for your trauma and be like, oh, you like Final Fantasy X and it changed your life. Well, guess what? It destroyed mine. And I'm like, you're right. Let me know. Like, tell me, please, all the ways that something I love made you want to not be here anymore. Because I think all of chat needs to hear this. And you're serious. And I don't know what to do. So, you know what? But you know what? That's okay, because it lets me know at least the better direction to send you. Because if Final Fantasy X has scarred you, my love, this is good. We can figure out how to heal you.
Not the Final Fantasy X.
We can... I know that Titus hurt you, okay? I'm sorry. I know that Jet maybe made you feel some type of way, Sky. I'm sorry. Listen, it's okay. It's okay, okay? It wasn't that bad. I'm here for you.
Wow. Wow.
I feel
Spit
like
and
Guy,
Sure.
come
true.
back!
You
ruined the overlay. I can't see Lana anymore. You
I
gotta
can't
come
see.
back.
Wait, where'd Lana go?
Wait, did Lana leave?
Wait, no, I'm still here.
No, I'm
We're
still
all
here.
still
It
here.
just it like changed. No, it changed. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
No,
the
mine
way
didn't
with
change.
Lydia.
I freaked out.
Yeah, it freaked out on my
I
end
was like,
too.
where are my friends?
My friends.
All right, Sky,
God.
you're up after that
Um,
wonderful drag.
Okay. Oh, yikes. I feel maybe a little personally attacked there, but it's fine. Definitely how to totally trauma dump is to call a friend's hotline that they may post on their stream and pretend to be a different person, possibly a chef, and outright voice your personal problems. Like, you definitely shouldn't do that on the air with an imaginary character that you made up. Definitely not that.
That is oddly specific.
It seems like I don't know, it's like some personal recall moment of, you know, some internal trauma that I may have recognized. Q, you know anything about this?
It's
Take it away.
crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy that I've seen that happen. And it was so funny because it was like the first time they were trying to like
Like the first
do
interaction with
call
you, right?
in. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
the first interaction, but also like first time they were trying and call in content. And to just have such a character come in and absolve all their problems. Was definitely something that was the best way to trauma dump for me.
The way Lana had the clip ready.
Listen, I'm just giving the people what they want, okay? I'm just sharing more live examples of what we're talking about. I don't know what you mean.
Here's the graphic video of the situation. There it is.
There it is.
Oh gosh.
All right, Q, what you got?
I realized throughout my many years as a chatter on this platform and my professionalism is that if I have something that I need to say, just absolutely ignore the atmosphere. Like it does not matter. Okay, I have something that I have to say and I gotta tell you about it. And if it's in 2 paragraphs, 3
You're gonna hear it.
paragraphs,
Mhm.
if I'm sending you a link to my TwitLonger, you're gonna read that, and I swear if you skip over, I'm gonna do just like Lana does and post it 100 times.
like you do your shout outs, right? Just paste.
Yeah. Just a text wall of my problems.
What you say? Q's like,
Sip
what
your
did
tea,
I
Q.
say?
Sip your tea, sip your
Read
tea.
what I said.
Sip your tea, Q.
He said, what did I say? What did I say? Read it.
So I'm thinking, another hot take, as somebody who is a mental health professional on this wonderful platform, no one else should be allowed to talk about their own mental health while they're streaming because they're clearly not professionals, right? They ain't about it. They don't got it. They don't know what they're doing.
Totally.
Leave that to me. I should be the only one, right? You gotta be in the club to really be sharing your stuff. So don't be sharing anything that you've experienced, what you've done, what you've gone through. You can't handle it. Don't do it.
Nope. Your experience is not unique. Nope.
And you're not certified. Okay.
Nope.
You don't know
No,
what you're
not at
talking
all.
about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All right, just stop watching TikTok and coming on stream and telling me.
Q, please.
Q, I hit core yesterday. I'm not supposed to be laughing this hard.
Q, please. Oh my god.
Yikes.
Oh,
was good.
so funny. Chart Bop, you're up.
All right, Sharon.
Me. 1 second. Hang on. Skip me. I just got to be right back.
Okay.
Bye, Char.
Bye, Char.
All right, Lana.
Char Bop.
Oh.
Char Bop.
Okay. you know, I don't know if this is maybe necessarily trauma dumping, but maybe just you know, trying to control the narrative that could lead to trauma. Is that an acceptable an acceptable switcheroo? I love it personally when whether I'm in someone else's stream or someone's in my stream, and you know, that person makes a decision, you know what, I'm not going to play this game, or I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do before, because you know what, I think that for me mentally it's better to do this instead. But everyone else is like, you know what, they got to really let them know that they should stick to what they said they were going to do, even though there's pain written all over their face, or maybe their system just doesn't let it work. But you know what, push through, because mental health is all about just pushing yourself to your limits, even when your limits are broken and shattered.
Wow.
How can you be a streamer if you never push yourself past your limit?
If never, how? That's just, it's impossible, you know?
To get better as a streamer, you must push your mental health. This is true.
And to get better as a gamer, you must play all night.
All night. Even if you're not a marathon streamer, even if you have a full-time job, it's fine. Even if a family, don't worry. The kids know how to make cereal. They know how to make SpaghettiOs.
Milk goes in first.
It's fine.
Even if you have a collab early in the morning.
That's okay, because we have friends that, you know, will call you and make sure that you're ready to go, you know?
Yeah, and give you a 30-minute head notice. Like, hey, this is your 30-minute.
I did. I mean, they did.
They did.
I wonder who that was. Yeah.
To follow up, you know, Lana specifically was talking about how, you know, you definitely shouldn't change games if you're not feeling it. Well, you also definitely should stay up for 8 hours and play Valorant on stream, because it definitely makes you very happy and you're definitely not raging and frustrated. And you should do that nonstop, even though you have a collab the next morning at 9 a.m. and you need someone to wake you up.
I'm worried about you, Sky.
I'm okay, but I'm not talking about me, Q. Hold on. I'm not talking about Q. I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about.
I just wanted to tell you, you know, just in general, you know,
friend to friend,
you know, now that we're here among like peers and everything, you know.
The slight waver in his voice when he says, "I'm okay," though.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
There's like a little bit of a shake.
Mm-hmm.
Shar, are you back? Nope. Okay. All right, Q. Hit us.
Number one thing that I want to say when people are taking that initiative to trauma dump in your chat is to 100% let them know that that is absolutely unacceptable, and to verbally discipline them so that they can learn and never do it again in the future. Because how else are they supposed to know that now is not the time or the vibe where you are not mentally capable of having that discussion unless you yell at them for about like 10 minutes, you know, and then
15
shout
minutes.
them out and then yell at they shout out for
make the rest of chat boo them, you know. That's for right. Extra effect.
Turn everybody against the person. They must take this with them before they go to sleep about how you entered my atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's great advice coming from this panel today. I got another tip. So, you know, as streamers, we have people that we know IRL and online. And so if you know somebody IRL who happens to be a streamer, and you pop up in their chat, guaranteed something you should be doing. Definitely be given little hints, just a few, just enough, so the audience knows how cool the streamer is. Of, you know, maybe their name, maybe a little bit about that region they live in, you know, maybe something about their location or their jobs, you know. You just want to pop it in that chat and support your friend and let them know I see you and I love you. And, you know, I think that is the best strategy to get your friends who are streamers some extra subby wubbies, is just by giving out those little hints.
It makes it more personal.
Oh yeah, they got to let everyone know that how cool,
You're
how much
relatable.
they know you.
You know what's so funny, Effector? Like every time that you start, and because we just listened to you do an hour-long presentation, and every time that you start, I'm like, he's about to throw some facts. You know, like, and then I'm like thrown for a loop every time as it starts progressing, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's right. I remember what we're doing. He's got that like, oh please listen, he's about to like really enhance your life voice.
He does. And
yeah.
you
Cozy Chaos is the brand here, so yeah, if you haven't been in the stream, you've missed out on the chaos. All right. I think that was my last one. Do you guys still have one more?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can do one more.
All right.
Yes,
Lana.
Lana.
Head it.
You know, I'm just gonna circle back to that whole boundaries thing. Kind of what you were saying. It's really cool when you maybe have somebody who you know in your personal life that maybe also possibly unknown to you thought you were extra cool, if you get what I'm saying. And they really like to make sure that everyone else in chat that maybe could think you're extra cool knows that they think you're extra cool, and they need to, you know, not think you're so cool. Especially when they like to post pictures in your Discord and let everyone know, yeah, we're cool together. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that we were that cool together. Maybe we chill out on the cool talk person that I didn't realize thought I was so cool. That's always fun because you know you're just so cool, and I don't know.
Boundaries aren't important. Like,
no,
boundaries are never important. I think it's what the biggest lesson that we are learning is who needs boundaries. Am I right? Like,
who needs boundaries?
Yeah.
When someone thinks you're cool, right? And they think
Right.
everyone should know
Totally.
that. Because that's what they think.
Take it a further step. Be their spokesperson. Be their manager.
Oh, I like
You know?
this.
Run
You know what?
around,
Do
I
their
am-
taxes.
do
Do their
their
taxes.
taxes.
Do
Be
their
their
taxes.
Be their accountant.
Pick
Please.
up their. No, don't. Never mind.
Honestly, though, I'm not opposed to the accountant thing. Like, really, I do need one. So, like, if they do want to bookkeep, you know.
Sky, I'm
No.
friend's a friend, bro. You know, on mental health awareness.
Oh god. Oh. That was one of my takes. So
Yeah, thank you, Lana. Sky, what you got?
Oh, hold on. I gotta think of one. Wait, circle back to me.
All right.
Let me think of one.
Q,
I
I
will
know
say
you got some
just-
wisdom. What's
Oh,
up,
my
Lana?
bad.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Lana.
I just wanted to put the disclaimer out there that me and that person are super not cool anymore.
I mean, totally super cool. Yeah.
Last piece of advice that I want to give out to everybody is in order to like really grow and be amazing on this platform, I think the number one tip that you can have is to label yourself as a safe space streamer, regardless of your intentions as a streamer. Because once you build that trust, you can build those numbers, and you build those numbers, you build that money, baby.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh
Wow,
no.
Q.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Cash
Oh, God.
money. Oh gosh.
Yeah, cash money, baby.
Got it. God.
With those sunglasses
Oh,
too. All I hear is
Okay, that's our show, Kisses. Thanks for coming.
Oh.
Those rays.
Oh god. Also, I got one. I have one.
All right. Follow that up, Sky. Follow that
I can't.
up.
I really can't follow that up. But I will say, I think it is important as a streamer to never be yourself, because being yourself is unimportant. You know, like the whole point of streaming is to be unrelatable in every aspect. So when you go on to stream, you want to be as far removed from yourself as possible. Maybe even like go as far as if you are, I don't know, let's say if your back is sore and you like need to put some icy hot on your back, instead of throwing it on your back, put it on a painting first. Put it on a painting first and then lay on it. You know, like go so far away. I love my icy hot. Okay, go so far away from yourself that people can't even imagine what that is like. You know, just don't be yourself on stream. Be genuine. Why?
Sponsored, not sponsored.
You know, instead of saying it's your show, you know, kind of Lana's vibe, maybe the real answer is it's some other person's caricatures show.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that
It's a puppet show.
It's a puppet show.
It's like a description of my stream.
Oh my god.
Sky Show is a puppet show, apparently.
Sky Show, the
Why do you
puppet
think I hide
show.
behind an avatar?
Facts.
Who is
Oh,
she?
God.
No
Who
one knows.
is she?
All right, Shara, round us out. What's your last hot take for the day?
I mean, it's definitely nothing as good as Q's, but I think the most important thing you can do as a streamer to take care of your own mental health is when you feel that you need a break from streaming, don't. Just fucking stream anyway, because you are at your best when you are
Right.
stressed, when you are
Exactly.
low.
No
That is when
breaks.
you can be your best self,
Hell yeah.
not just for yourself, but for your
Facts.
community.
Right.
Mhm.
Perseverance is
Streaming
everything,
comes
isn't it?
first. Yeah.
Right.
Streaming
Perseverance is
before
Carry on, that's the
everything.
British way.
Never
Yes.
stop
Yep.
it.
The
Mhm.
British
Yep.
way.
It's
And
about
that
We'll have it
works.
on a mug.
Put that on a mug. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right. So thank you for the hot takes of how to not trauma dump, my friends. That was an experience unlike any other I've had on this platform. So let's switch
Glad to be a
gears.
service.
Let's switch gears for a moment and let's get real, and you know, let's either answer some questions that are popping up. We've got quite a few that are coming through from our audience. I also have a couple I'd like to maybe propose to you guys, and kind of go from there. So one of the reasons this group of people was invited to be on the stream for the Mental Health Awareness Raid Train with me is each and one of these folks you see here pictured talks about mental health in all different ways, on stream, offline. I consider these folks to be leaders in that realm, to have those communications. So anybody, if it doesn't have to be anyone in particular, anybody want to talk about how do you navigate that? How do you talk about mental health in this environment?
Sky, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Sure. On a real talk, I know I made the joke earlier about boundaries, but boundaries are like the most important thing to me. I think it's so important to draw lines in not just you as a streamer, but also like, what does that look like? How much time do you spend online? What do I do offline? Because I think it is really easy to get sucked into, I have to be in streamer mode, or I have to do all these things as a streamer. I have to do streamer prep. I have to make ideas. I have to edit. All those things are great, wonderful. But I do think it's good to find balance, right? So for me, as of right now, this month, I'm trying to prioritize my physical well-being a little bit more. So doing things like meditating and running and just getting outside, touching some grass a little bit, because I do need it. I do need it a little bit, you know. And it's not that I neglect time online. I think it's just finding, okay, when is the right time for this, but also the right time for me getting outside and taking care of myself physically or mentally or spiritually, or however it is that you feel allows you to thrive in the ways that you want to, you know. I think it's important too.
Excellent advice. I agree. Go ahead, Lana.
I kind of what I've actually said before. Don't compare yourselves to those that are around you. Comparison is the thief of joy. You have to remember that everyone has different circumstances. Everyone has different abilities, different options, different time levels. You know, for example, I have a full-time job and I have a freelance job that are not connected to streaming. And so there are times where I have to remember those things that are happening in my IRL life that consequently, whether it's purposeful or not, are going to affect my streaming life. And that's okay, that my balance in my journey is different than what Q's is, and then what Sky's is, and what Char's is, and what Effector's is. If you get too caught up in comparing yourself to people around you, it will break you down, and it will just make you feel so less than. And in those few moments where you might say, oh my God, I'm doing better than this person, because we do that, we're humans. That high is so short, because give it a month, it might flip around. You have no idea what can happen and when can happen to anybody that's in this space with you. Because it really is just a matter of luck and hard work and just whatever is. And so you really just have to kind of stay focused on yourself and what your goals are, in a sense of, this is what I can do, this is what I'm able to do, this is what I like to do. And from there, you kind of build the rest of your streaming journey. But and I know that's from a very that's I'm speaking from a streamer perspective, but I think you can just bring that to life in general. You know, just because you might be not have gone to college does not mean that you're not going to end up where somebody who has their master's is. You guys can end up in very different places. You know, just because you have been with somebody for your entire life doesn't mean that you aren't going to have the same availabilities and options as someone who is single or has always been single. You just really have to focus on your race and what your journey is, and get water when you're supposed to, and make it to the end.
Thank you, Lana, for that wisdom. Snap, snap, snap. Yeah. Shar, did you want to chime in about your approach to facilitating conversations about mental health in this space?
I don't really have anything specific to say. I mean, it's something that as a person and as a professional has always had at the forefront of my mind. So I don't know whether it's maybe a deflective technique on my own part, dealing with other people's problems instead of my own, but it's something that I felt has always been quite natural and very important to me. So I just, regardless of whatever I was going to do with streaming, it was important for me to foster that space and create it and nurture it. And that was always, it sort of ended up naturally becoming my number one priority. In terms of just how I approach it, I'm quite an open book, and I like people to be open with me, and that's just all I ever really want with these kinds of things. So I haven't really done anything specific. It just sort of just happened organically. I've recently, while I've been sort of away from Twitch, I've created another Discord group. It's really sad because I'm into K-pop and ended up sort of just completely coincidentally forming another Discord group with a bunch of other fans of the band Stray Kids, and it's taken off a little bit and naturally ended up, yes, Stay, I see you.
What's up? Stay in the house. Changbin, Chang is my bias. Let's go.
Same. I'll be sending you that link afterwards. And we just ended up just naturally forming yet another little safe space that's just become another place to talk about mental health and to have that opportunity to support each other, because that's just apparently a thing that I do without even thinking about. So I don't really have anything specific to say, because it's just I keep doing it by accident. So whoops.
Well, and I think from one medical professional to another, I think it is part of, just our professions, right? To be thinking about well-being, to be thinking about that health stuff. And mental health, right? Your brain is another organ in your body. If you're going to have to be worried about your heart and what you're doing about that, why aren't you worried about your brain? It is no different, right? It is important to do that. And, I've always felt very cozy hanging out in your stream, Shar, because you are somebody who has those conversations organically.
Hugs.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else want to?
Can do that.
And want to answer that one, or we want to take a one from the audience?
Answer what?
About facilitating those conversations about mental health in this space. How do you do it?
Oh, I can answer that.
Sure.
Facilitating. So that means creating a space where you can have that conversation, correct?
Yeah. So some people do it on their stream, some people do it offline. Yeah, everyone's got their own approach.
I think the way that I have been doing it is like not even like recently, like because I've been streaming for a while and I don't usually purposely create a space to have those conversations. You know, those are never really my intentions. The intention is just to create a space, you know, to create a space where you can live and thrive in. And if you happen to want to feel like that you want to like talk about stuff, then that's completely fine, because I talk about stuff about my own self like all the time. So please tell me about yourself too. It wasn't until like I think like maybe within the last year that we started incorporating trauma steps, which is like the first 30 minutes of the stream we let everything out that we have like on our mind, so that we can, you know, get over, like continue going. And the reason that I thought about that is because I ended up having those problems, right? So like I'll press the go live button, and then in my head I'll start thinking about like the last like weird interaction that I just had, and I'll be like, bro, I can't get this out of my head. I have to talk about it. And then I realized, and I was like, okay, well, there's also people in chat where it's like it is genuinely hard for you to enjoy what you're doing in the moment if you have something that you need to talk about. So we were like, hey, you know, I want to talk about stuff. We want to talk about stuff. Let's talk about stuff and then get it off our chest. I don't create a space where I feel like that we can, I don't purposely create a space where I'm like, hey, tell me what's going on, or absolutely feel safe in this area. It's like, if you want to, I'm here to talk to you about it, and now is the time. And especially like throughout the stream is the time. I just got to create a space. That is my goal.
Yeah, and following up, I can't remember who made the comment about using safe space as your brand, right? But I think that is something to be thinking about, right? Why do you need to like create some little special thing when it can organically just be part of who you are and what you're doing? You know, I have a redeem in my stream called a mindful moment. If somebody is like, I really need like to chill, right? They can redeem that at any time, and we're going to do a mindfulness exercise. And I literally go out and film footage so that we can all have a little peaceful moment. Because sometimes I need that reminder that it's good to take a break and chill. And I don't do that as a means of like, haha, I can convince you of anything. It's just part of my practice in my daily life that I do, that I bring with me into stream. But I think it is a responsibility you have as a content creator to be thinking about, how do you create your space? What does that involve? What are the norms that you have? Because real talk, people are going to come to you when they're having a hard day, because this is where they come to get some support. We all come to this space, I think, in some ways, because it's nice to connect and to vibe and to get stuff off your chest and relate. So yeah. Sky, did you want to add anything to the facilitating?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think one of the biggest things that I know, and I think we're also learning probably, because I think the journey with maybe like being aware of your own mental health, but also like navigating the streamer space for it, is practicing what you preach. So I know for me, and it's a journey, right? Like it's not an overnight thing. Even I think at the top of this year, I feel like there were things that I wanted to integrate into my life that I felt like I hadn't yet incorporated. But it's being able to bounce that off of each other and having like a reflective space. So for me, kind of like what Q said, I don't really necessarily outright have a moment of like, hey, this is safe space. But I do think it naturally happens when you are practicing what you preach and expressing those genuine emotions of going, hey, like,
absolutely,
let's take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure we're taking, like, and that's not just like hydrating and stretching. That's
right.
Everything from that to like, hey, like, when's the last time you thought about and reflected on like a life event? Like, I love one of the things that I integrated in my stream that I love from a lot of other streamers is doing like affirmations, because I think it's a great moment to take some time to go, hey, what in my life do I need right now? Like, what is it that I could reflect on, that I could use to go, hey, I think I can make this this change in my life, or even better yet, just take a look at your day. I know like midway through the week on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'll go, hey, like at the middle of the week, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? And then on top of that, like how can I get that from whatever it is right now to a 10 by the end of the week? So being progressive in the sake of going, oh, I can make it better. Like we can get there. But what steps do we need to take as a group to push ourselves to that spot? So I would say practicing what you preach is really important. And I think it gives off that same energy to everyone else to take care of themselves too.
Can we talk about safe spaces for like a quick second?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Feel free to disagree with me. I don't think the term safe space should be used. Because you're on the internet. All right?
Yeah, fair.
Preach, you better preach.
I say this to my stream every day, and they're getting sick of me at this point. But I don't know you and you don't know me.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so there's no real such thing as like a safe space in this. Not to move everybody away from like feeling like you shouldn't like feel safe in a space. But like if something was to happen and something is like out of your hands, it's because you're on the internet. Yes. You know what I mean? Like any of us can do anything and you wouldn't know. And it's the same with anybody in the chat. So like building a safe space is putting expectations on not only you as a streamer, but the community in general of something that is like damn near impossible to establish. There's no 100% safe in a space. Anybody can miss anything and anybody cannot like decide to like adhere to something. Everybody's morals is really different. The main thing that I'm like that you need to focus on, safe space should not be a brand. Just like Effector. Like I don't remember if Effector said that, but I think it was like somewhere around there. And I'm like Effector said, build your space before you decide to be like, I'm a safe space streamer, because you can't be. And if you guys disagree with that, let me know. But I'm kind of like you're putting so much expectations on everybody, and it's just gonna like make everything 8 times worse. When
bro, you just opened my eyes.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you big time.
I was gonna say I wanted to add something.
You want to go?
I don't think I fully agree. But I think part of the reason I say that is because for me, and keep in mind, we can't. Like, although I can define safe space for myself, I can't define that for everyone else, right? So, me defining safe space for me, I think in the broad scope of things is I can do my best to incorporate that into everyone. Like, please define safe space for yourself. So in my space, I would love for people to define safe space for you, because we have different definitions of safe space. But I want to be able to welcome that conversation, because I completely agree. You can't make a safe space for everyone, but what you can do is have that conversation of, hey, you can create a safe space for yourself, you know? And I think that, at least for my channel, it's really important for people to reflect on that, because everyone's boundaries are different. You know, what works for me isn't going to work for you. Me going on a 1 mile jog outside because it helps me be happy isn't going to be something that makes you happy, and that's okay, you know? And vice versa, like something that may work for somebody else, like if for I say downtime or free time, like maybe gaming and playing, I don't know, what's that game that everyone's playing, Honkai, Rail, whatever. Maybe for yeah, that game. Yes, the waifu game, yes. Maybe for other people, like that is a way for them to like calm their anxiousness throughout the day and go like, hey, you know what? I'm enjoying some like time offline, enjoying some games, but that might not be for me. Maybe for me, I want to play Valorant and stress a little bit on competitive gaming, you know? Like everyone's a little different. But I think it's important to maybe remind people, hey, define a safe space for yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to make a safe space for everyone, but you can integrate that into your community.
Right. Yeah, you can make your space as safe as possible with your own morals and stuff. Make sure that you do that, because that's the number one important thing that you can do. But if you overall are like, this is a safe space, I don't know. I gotta worry because I get a little bit like, I don't know. I feel like you're putting a lot of expectations on everybody now.
I think you've got to just be a little bit clear about what your safe space involves for you as a stream community. Like I normally say, this is a safe space for LGBTQIA plus people. This is a safe space for mental health. This is a safe space for these specific things, so that I know that if there is somebody that is potentially jeopardizing that, we know who needs to be warned or banned or whatever. And that's a bit more technical and specific. I think that's the best way that I've managed to sort of approach it.
So maybe that also means that the verbiage changes. Maybe it's not necessarily a safe space, but it's a welcome space. Because
yeah,
I totally get what you're saying, Charbop. I think I have to be let's be fucking real. As a Black bisexual woman, I don't want to go anywhere that I'm not welcome. And unfortunately, there's a lot of places where I'm not. So it makes me feel better when I do see tags that are, hey, girl, come on in. You're welcome here. This is a space where you can at least know that we want you to be here. Because to Q's credit, and I think this is not just online, this is like in IRL, nothing is 100% anything. People gonna be people. Things are gonna be bad. There's always gonna be a bad apple in some bunch of apples, however the hell that goes. But my point being is like you can't control everything. And I think we as people and streamers need to not only realize that, but be kind of straightforward and honest about that and say, listen, I'm going to try my best to make sure that you guys are protected and you feel safe here. But the internet is a wild place. And I think that we all can agree that it's popping off, especially lately. And so you don't want to necessarily deal with the possible guilt and downfall that could come with if something were to happen in your space that you had nothing to do with, but you said it was safe. So why did this happen? How did this happen? How do you move forward with that? So I would definitely say welcome space instead of safe space, probably, because you do want to have green flags for people to know where they are welcome, because your perspective it's different for everybody. Everyone's gonna look at things differently. And you just have to remember that not everyone has the same boundaries. Not everyone communicates the same way. Not a lot of people are even comfortable with communicating how they feel fully with words. Sometimes it's usually with actions or with just, it kind of scares me the way that some people can't just say what it is that they want or what it is that they need, because they don't really know how to say that without it being something that just kind of is a reaction, not really thought out and communicated. So I would say welcome space. And Q, I think that's a really good point to bring out. I think that we all kind of are thinking about that lately as streamers.
I think whatever you... Sorry.
Oh no,
go ahead, Shai.
Go for it.
It's hard when I'm just an avatar. I think whatever it is that you decide to call your space, whatever boundaries you want to set up for your space, as long as you're clear and as long as you take responsibility and are willing to grow and change depending on the needs of both yourself and your community, then that is the main thing. I think the rest of it is kind of semantics. But you've got to know your boundaries, you've got to know the boundaries of the community as best you can, and you've got to be adaptable to change and take responsibility.
And you got to have that conversation,
Beautiful.
You gotta let people know you got to do, you're doing as much as you can. But
absolutely.
to put that overall label and everything on not only yourself and your community, it's a lot.
It holds a lot of weight, so you got to be reflective on how you use that term and just have that conversation.
But I do like welcome space.
I like that.
Really good.
That's a good idea.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
So panelists, I want to let you know we are at 11 o'clock. So our hour is officially over for the panel. I'm okay continuing to have these discussions for the next 30 minutes if you guys are, but I don't want to take more of your time if you guys have other things that you need to do. So I'm going to do a quick pulse check. Do we want to continue to answer viewer questions? Do we want to call it here?
I've probably got about 10-15 minutes left before I have to bounce.
Okay.
I'm open to stay for a little longer.
I can do 30.
I can do 30.
I'm good.
All right. So the first question that I think we really need to get to the bottom of an answer, Q. Why don't you wash your rice?
Oh, I didn't know this.
I'm concerned.
Shots fired. It's so early in the morning for these shots. We got graphics. We got
Q doesn't wash
graphics.
his rice.
We got
You know,
receipts.
as a Middle Eastern woman, I am offended.
We got
As someone-
receipts.
I eat rice every day, Q. I have some questions. So, go for it. Do your thing.
What's wild is I know who did this specifically, and I tell her every time that I do wash my rice. Like I am 100. Like I am thorough into it, you know, and I get really upset when people don't because they're like, it's just a starch, it makes it better. And I'm like, I don't know that. I don't know enough about the starch or rice or chemicals and stuff. Get it out of my rice. This is just slander.
Are you doing the techniques? Are you doing the fingers? No? No?
Yeah, I'm doing the finger. I'm like washing
Okay.
it, rewashing
You like
it,
scrub? How many times do you put the water in, and how many times do we dump it out? Like, is it a one-time rinse?
Until it's clear.
Until it's clear. Okay.
It better be
So
Better be.
facts. Make sure you wash your rice, guys. Make sure you wash your rice. Don't be like Q, okay? All right. The next question: is it okay for minors to join social media in terms of mental health? What do you guys think of that one?
Ooh, what a great question.
In terms of mental health,
I can take this one to start if you're okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Lana's other job that she's had for probably half her adult life is coaching. And as someone who has worked directly with 13 to 17-year-olds for a long period of time and seen the immediate just terrible things that happen because of something that someone posted on Instagram, that someone posted on Snapchat. I mean, a part of me wants to say no and a part of me wants to say yes, because let's be fucking for real. Kids are gonna do what they want to do. Kids are gonna find a way around it. And so even though I think my instant gut reaction is to say, I don't think it's a good idea for them to have social media, because when I'm telling you that court cases are happening because of what these children are sending to each other and communicating with each other and posting to each other on these spaces, it's terrifying. But you have to also remember that kids are going to want to do what they want to do, and social media is part of our world, and it is how people find resources for help and for some of the things maybe they're interested in as well. So like, it's almost like, do we have to have a kiddie feature? Essentially, do we have to have some type of parental controls? And I know that's very hand-holdy, but I just cannot get over what I witnessed firsthand in these high schools, the way that they talk to each other, them sending pictures of each other to other outside sources, children getting their family's credit cards and like investing in crypto and bankrupting their families. And I know that sounds so extra and over the top, but I can only tell you what I've actually seen. And so although I don't think that we should definitely ban minors from social media, because that's just not going to work, there does need to be, at minimum, some type of like programs or classes that are taught in high school, at the high school level, at the junior high level, just on like how to handle when somebody is talking to you indirectly and making you feel like you're the lowest person in the world. Because that is probably the largest case of what I've seen, is a lot of self-harm and a lot of people taking their lives because of social media and people making them feel like this is the end of your world. Think about how you thought when you were 17 and 14 and like your crush like maybe sent back a letter saying, I don't like you, you ugly. like imagine that, but like everyone sees it, it's on Instagram, people are liking it, replying to it, and then sharing it on their stories. That's a lot for anybody. I can't imagine how I would be thinking about that if I were an adult, let alone a teenager. And that's just talking about how they talk with each other. We haven't even gotten to the topic of what minors that are being affected by people who are adults and preying on them and trying to get them into uncomfortable and unsafe spaces. So I don't know if necessarily stopping them from having social media is the answer, but I do think there does need to be more education to both parents who have children and learning how to talk to their children about what's best for them, and then to kids to kind of know what their resources are if they are in these situations, because them internet streets are wild, man. It's bad out here, and a lot of kids don't have a lot of parents also that are paying attention to them and answering their questions, so they're looking stuff all online, and we just pray to God they get the right answers. But most of the time, the amount of children I've had come to me and say, Coach P, what's this? How do I do this? I messed up. I did this. This person sent this photo. I can't get this. My boyfriend's this. Like, it's shocking and terrifying, to put it lightly. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but I do think that we as adults need to be more realistic about how much it actually does affect the youth. And we're in and out. They're in that every day, all day.
So a comment I want to make about that, I don't see a lot of teens in my practice. I have worked with youth before, but I can say as human beings thinking about our developmental milestones, right? Erikson has this beautiful ages and stages theory, and separation individuation is that developmental stage where we really start to become our own human, right? We're not so worried about what brand of clothes we wear. We're not so worried about, we have our own system of values that we created as our own. And because of social media, worrying about what other people think of me is something that adults are all struggling with, because we constantly are bombarded by comparisons because of these algorithms on social media. So I don't think that's just affecting minors. I think that social media is toxic for every human being in that way.
Absolutely.
These are a lot of good questions in here.
Sky?
I was gonna say, because it's always hard to say like a hard yes or no, right? Because you can always find good and bad ways to use, like, let's say social media in this case. I think it's a matter of like being better informed, kind of like Lana said. So, and it's hard because I don't think getting people to, receive information, like that's difficult, right? So I think it's important to be able to find a way to not just spread that information to the youth, but also like find a way to do so that actually works for them. You can't just put it on a PowerPoint, flip through the slides and say, hey, this is gonna be stuck in their head forever, and I think that's the most important thing. Like, how can you find a way to actually spread your word? Because at the end of the day, kids are going to do what they want. But what you can do is find a way to actually feed that information to them so that they can make better informed decisions. And same vice versa, right? Where like as adults, like I think it's important that we also reflect on how we use social media. Like I sit back, I was like, I took a social media break recently. Like I was off Twitter because I needed it for me, I felt like it was starting to be like a toxic part of like my daily life, where I was like checking it every day. And I love to be offline. Like that is one of my favorite things in the world. Aside from being on Twitch, like I love my offline time. So it was taking and setting those boundaries, but I think it's easier to set those boundaries when you've already established that you need them. For people who don't know that they need them, I think it's important to like spread the information. Hey, like, why would you need this? How would this help you? And then let people make informed decisions for them.
So Shar, I know you've got to get going soon, so I wanna toss this question to you first. Okay. In your viewpoint, what has been the most challenging aspect of navigating your boundaries as a streamer?
Me personally, I'm really bad at knowing my boundaries anyway. That's like, when we're talking about practicing what we preach, I'm really bad at doing that, sus guys. I think because you're so exposed, when people when you're just not in the headspace to kind of deal with that kind of thing, but somebody's trying to put that on you anyway, and people know that that's the space that you've normally created, but it's just not that day for you today. Sometimes it's really hard to say, you know what, I know normally this is okay, but not today, guys. It's really hard. It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to just accept and say no if that's something that you're normally quite open to doing. Because you've got people watching, you've got people who know that normally this is okay. I struggle with that. I'm really bad at saying no. I'll be very open with that. I'm very, very bad at saying no to people. And that that I find personally challenging because that's just my personality. But that's something that I am trying to grow and I'm trying to learn and trying to develop over time, which I am a woman in my mid-30s. I feel like I should have achieved that by now, but you know what, like we said earlier, it's not a race.
It's not a race.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Shar. Thank you, Shar. Anyone else want to hop in on this question?
I want to say that just real quick. I just want to say, just like Char, I completely get that. I'm like, it's not really so much about navigating, or the challenges about my biggest challenge of navigating my boundaries is finding out my boundaries. I know a lot of times, like as a beginner streamer, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but like you don't know what your boundaries are on this platform.
You
go
think
live,
you know.
yeah.
You think you know.
You really don't.
You're like, I know how I'm gonna respond if somebody was a trauma. You don't know that until it happens. So every stream is like a learning experience for everybody. So if you ever feel like somebody, I want to say this to like the general chat and pretty much everybody. If you feel like that somebody's boundaries is coinciding with your own in their stream, maybe tell them, have that conversation, a healthy conversation, because honestly, we're all still trying to figure this out, and nobody can think of everything. The only thing that we can do is react and do our best based off of what we know and how we feel. And I think that's the only thing I have to say about that one.
I think for me, being a psychotherapist, I kind of already practice these dynamics in a parasocial relationship because I'm not disclosing my whole personal life to the folks I'm working with, because it's not my show when I'm in the room with somebody who's working on their healing. But I gotta say, being part of the Treppies has been very helpful for me as a new person in this space, because when stuff goes down, we talk, and we talk not just to vent and complain and moan, but we talk about, this is what we need to figure out how to do better. This is what we need to improve upon. And we've got some Twitch vets on the Treppies team, and it's been an honor for me to like peek there for my little baby stream of like, y'all been on this stream for like 7, 8, 9 years. How are you still alive? Because this stuff chews people up.
Yes.
And so I think that point of like, I'm still figuring out my boundaries. Same. I'm still figuring that out. And I've been doing this therapy thing for like 7 years.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
I was gonna say, as just one sort of healthcare professional to another, like, you think that you have the boundaries because you have to do it as a professional, but that's bloody hard to keep up. So when you're on Twitch, for me, it's anything's game. I just my boundaries are down, defenses are down, and I really need to learn to put them back up. But Jesus, I do that for work. When I'm home, anything goes.
I get that, Sean. I get that.
I get that totally. I mean, pop into my stream, you'll see the degen nonsense that happens. That is not me when I'm at work. I was pretty anxious to do this panel because I'm bringing my professional self here today, and it's weird to mix these boundaries even in this space. Yeah.
You're doing well there. You're doing well.
Anything else on that question? I've got another one coming up. We ready? All right. So, how is it, everybody, you balance those inquiries into your own well-being without overloading on the heavy for the info that was requested? Basically, how do you trauma dump your own stuff successfully? How do you navigate that boundary of like self-disclosure? What do you do?
Ooh, I can take this. Oof. I will say this. If anyone's been in my stream, when I first started streaming, I definitely like in the middle section of my journey, we used to start stream with a dance. and it's a dance kind of similar to Q's. Essentially, it's trauma stairs, except it's like the super hypey, I'm gonna dance it out because I don't know what else to do way. Like Q's actually doing it in an effective, communicative way, and I'm like, I'm just gonna dance till I just get it out. I say that to say, I try to set the tone at the beginning of my stream to what it is that I'm feeling and what it is that's on my mind. Because I feel like if I just am able to be straightforward from the beginning, then I can set the tone to what everyone's boundaries or maybe what they're willing to listen to or willing to, vibe to is. Does that mean sometimes I don't have as many people there? Sure. Does it mean that sometimes I get people that don't want to participate or do want to participate? Absolutely. But I think the first thing that, yeah, that right there. But I think that the first thing that I say, and I say this to everyone, but I do really mean this. It really is your show. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I started streaming for my own vent space. Kind of similar to what Shar said, get it, Effector, get it.
There's a wasp. Sorry, guys. That's what I was getting this little paddle for.
No, you're fine. My ADHD was like, hello?
Every neurodivergent in the room's just like, what?
Like, what was that? If I know that I'm going to essentially have a moment where it's going to be serious, or I know that I'm not going to be at 100%, I share that and I do say that. And I guess I kind of, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I stopped thinking about if that matters sometimes. Because I should be allowed to do that in my space. And I also welcome and accept that maybe not everybody is for that either. So, if I don't feel comfortable in my space, if I feel like I can't talk my own shit in my own space, then that's not the type of then I'm not having a good stream either. There's obviously a balance to it, but I just kind of lay it out on the table. If we're going to talk about something serious, I let chat know we're about to talk about something serious. If I know that we're about to get into maybe some more goofier stuff, but hey, I'm gonna let chat know. I don't know. I just try to be straight up, and but in that process, I've also had to learn that if I don't have people that necessarily want to be in that space anymore, if that's what I choose to do, then that's okay, because that is what I want for me in my stream. First and foremost, I want to be comfortable and I want to feel like I can say what I need to say and do what I want to do, so that I can enjoy my space with the people there, and then they do the same. So, yeah,
beautiful.
I guess that's it.
Beautiful.
I think what you said, just being honest about what you're about to do and just being transparent with the chat. Look, hey, I need to get this off my chest. I need to talk right now. This is going to be serious for a moment. If you don't want to be here or you can't be here, that is absolutely fine. Mute the chat, disappear off for a bit. We can put a message on Discord, or we can just put a message in the chat to say, hey, serious talk over, let's play trombone chat. It's totally okay. You've created, so many people started streaming during the Panini, okay? And a lot of people did that because we were all in a shit space and we needed to find community and we needed to find a way to be ourselves and to process what we were all processing at that time. And so a lot of people did join Twitch for exactly that, to find a space where they felt comfortable venting and creating a community that was safe for them or welcome for them. So nobody should ever have to feel guilty about putting out what you need to put out, whenever that is in the stream, whether something in the middle of a game triggers you, whether something that in the middle of a chat halfway through your stream triggers you. If you need to talk about that, you need to talk about that. You've just got to be transparent and say, hey, look, we're about to get serious for a moment. Check out if you need to check out. We'll be right back.
Beautiful.
No shame.
Hell yeah.
All right, one last question for you guys. Speaking of the Panini, I think this is a really good one. Let me get this question queued up for you. There it goes. If you could go back and give yourself a single piece of advice on that first day of 2020, I'm going to say March of 2020,
Ooh,
right?
I remember exactly where I was at.
What would it be? That is a great question. Whoever submitted that one.
Start now. Do it now. Start now. I think a lot of us don't do things because we feel like we're not ready. We're afraid that we're going to start something and people are going to be like, what are you doing? This is a mess. Knock it off. Listen, we were all going through it in 2020. Nobody expected anyone's best, let alone their presence. I wish that I would have just started what I'm doing now back then. I think my life would have drastically been different right now, though I'm grateful for where I am right now in every aspect. And I wouldn't change a thing. But start now, just so I even felt safe or like safer around the people in my real life saying what I do, starting now, because I think I would have more funds towards what I'm trying to do now in the middle of one of the most expensive times to be a human. Starting now, just because anything that maybe would have been like rough spots or things that maybe I wasn't comfortable with, like I pushed through, I learned from them already. I already kind of got to make those mistakes in the quote unquote dark, because we were all in the dark in 2020, 2021. Start now, because I would have met these amazing people that I'm seeing on this panel before then, like already. Like start now, start now. What are you doing? Start now.
I love that.
I think what I would say to myself is, buddy, it's going to be okay. There's going to be so many opportunities that are coming your way because of this chaos. It's going to be fine. Telehealth became a thing in the pandemic, which allowed me to amass a private practice enough to say peace out to my public service job that was burning me out. Speaking of vicarious trauma, my mental health was awful before the pandemic, and it improved so significantly because I had that ability to give myself what I needed. So that would be what I'd say. It's going to be okay.
I like that.
I was going to say, for me, I can't choose like one thing. I have two things. My first thing is seek discomfort. Kind of with what Lana said, I think I really appreciated now. I think I've put myself in a position that I've maybe have been scared to do, and not necessarily scared in the sense that like I didn't think I could, but more like, oh, I don't know where I'm going, and that's okay. I think in 2020 I actually felt I had a lot of clarity. I've always been someone who's had a lot of clarity in like where to go, but I think there's something so welcoming about knowing it's okay to not know exactly where things will be a month from now, let alone a week from now, you know, like take it day by day. And then the second piece of advice I'd give myself is embrace empathy, because I think the person that I was in 2020, although I loved and appreciated empathy, I don't think I embraced it. I think to make that part of who I am and like my character was everything I needed to really stand my ground on who I actually was as a human being. And that gave me, I think, although I lack clarity and direction because of seeking discomfort, I think what's nice about that is I know who I am now. And I think that'll help take me to where I need to be more than like a destination itself, you know, like being clear on the kind of person that you want to be.
I like that. That was really nice, Sky.
Like
yeah.
Some good vibes.
Shar, go ahead.
Oh, you can go first.
No, you can go.
I think the biggest thing will be just to embrace my own journey and not compare myself with others, which is again something I'm still very much working on, because the Panini had a very profound effect on my career and the everyday working life that I'm still going through right now. I'm a doctor in the NHS in the UK, which for those who don't know is a sort of socialist healthcare system that provides free universal healthcare for all. And unfortunately, the effect the pandemic has had on the ability that of our ability to provide service to our patients is still ongoing, and it's not something we're going to catch up with anytime soon. And it's made it very difficult to be able to deliver the kind of service I want to do professionally, but also personally, because I was at a point in my training where so much of our we had like exams and stuff and courses and things that we had to achieve to complete certain stages of my career were cancelled and delayed. And so we're part of this little cohort of trainees of surgeons that are stuck. because there's a backlog and we can't get to where we need to be. And so people who were sort of below us in the hierarchy that have now reached that stage of training are overtaking us because they haven't had the effect of the pandemic that we have. And it's really hard to not compare myself when I'm seeing people who are younger than me, who were my juniors, now overtaking me because of just how things have happened. And that just coming to terms and coming to peace with it's okay, everybody's journey is personal to them and it's not a race, is something that I struggle with every day, but I am trying my damnedest. So if I could just ram that into 2020 Shah, just take a break from the hours of Animal Crossing she was playing to say, yo, Bish, listen up, it's gonna be cool. Just, I would love to do that. Yes. Who's got a time machine?
Yes.
Love it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Love it.
I've been thinking about this ever since I saw it pop up, and I wouldn't give myself any advice.
Ooh.
I wouldn't like, and not to say like shitty things haven't happened in the past 3 years and the pandemic hasn't like, you know, wrecked me in like a mental or even physical or whatever way, but I don't believe in focusing on what could have happened, because everything that happened changes the way that I view or like walk the path of life that I'm on now. And if I was to go ahead and change that and do other things, then who knows what's going to happen. And I could be in I could be in a worse place, I could be in a better place. I wouldn't really know anything. So I think if you were like cue gun to your head, stop like dancing around the question. The advice that I would give me in 2020 would be to just keep going and focus up. Just keep going and focus up, because if I were to divert myself in any way, then who knows what's going to happen, and it's really not mentally anywhere like for me personally, me thinking about the past and all that other stuff and regretting and having regrets and hoping that I could go back in time and give myself advice, that's not going to benefit me. Mm-hmm. It's not. So I just need to push forward. But I think this is a great question.
That was a beautiful question. Beautiful responses from our wonderful panelists. Thank you all for joining for this How to Not Trauma Dump panel, where we went from super hilariously silly to really bringing it down home. Thank you, audience members, for contributing these questions and, you know, bouncing along. I know this is a little bit different, where we're not reading every message that's coming through, but we're seeing them. We're seeing them. And I also noticed about halfway through our talk that my category was still for Dwarf Romantic, by the way.
I didn't see that when I joined in. I was like, I guess we're just gonna fuck with this. Cool.
So yeah, I just fixed that, but that was funny. So the last thing that I wanna say to my panelists, outside of, you know, commendations, everybody go follow these humans. Please follow these humans. When we do tabletop gaming on my channel, we've been learning about safety tools and ways that we can facilitate, I'm going to use the word welcoming atmosphere for our table. We do what's called stars and wishes, where we go around the table and we say, like, this is my star. This is something that I enjoyed, I loved, this was great about our session today. And then if anyone has any wishes, you know, what do they hope happens next time? What do they hope that we can change to make it even better next time? I just want to open up the floor to our panelists. If you want to share those bits offline with each other or with me privately, that's cool too. But I want to make sure that we talk about and give some space to that safety tool, because I think it's an important element of creating content and collaborating, is to have that feedback with each other.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Who
you.
wants
Thank
to
you for having
start?
us.
I can start just because I have to go very shortly. But I just want to say my star has just been you wonderful folks. I didn't know about anyone apart from Effector before today, but you're all such wonderfully funny, insightful, intelligent people. I have followed you guys so quickly, and I cannot wait to see more from you. So thank you, Effector. Thank you, Anthony, for bringing me into this little space. I really, really appreciate that. And my wish is just good mental health and good happy days for all of you, because you're all wholesome and lovely and yay. I really got to go though.
Thank you,
Bye,
Shar.
Bye, Shar.
Bye. Thank you for this. Stay well. Bye.
I'll go. My star is you know what? My star is all of you, but I'm gonna give my star to Effector specifically because Effector, I gotta tell you, you really, really impressed me time and time again with just the knowledge and the way that you put this together and like planned it out and like really made sure you had resources for those who need it. I mean, I think that sometimes when we participate in these events, we get a little overwhelmed and we're like, okay, I'm just gonna do my thing and I'll talk about what I can and I'll play my game. And that's also wonderful too. But I love that you use your background and your knowledge to really give real resources and invite people to really talk about your top mental health 100% specifically and like really make that the focus of today's stream. And I appreciate you for that. So you're my star.
This was our show today.
It was our show today.
Everybody on Twitch, audience, streamer, lurker, right? Anyone who is here and is engaged with this platform and wants to have more experiences where our mental health is an important component, this stream is ours. So, but thank you, Lana. I'm so glad that is how you perceived me putting this together.
I did. I mean, obviously, stars to everyone. But that I don't want to exclude everyone. I just really would like to thank you for really giving us the follow through of like the where we can go, what we should do, really concrete. Sometimes you need concrete answers to situations because you don't really know what to do or how to say the things that maybe you have in your mind or where to go when you're dealing with those things. And so I appreciate you for that. And if I had to say what my wishes were, I've worked with Sky, I've worked with Q, I got to work with Char today, I've worked with you. I just would love to continue to work with you guys in the future. You guys are some of my favorite people in this little purple app, and I have a great time every time I do something with you guys. So rock on.
Thanks, Lana.
My star. Effector, it goes to you. Like you did an hour presentation.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you, Q.
Like I can't even okay.
Thank
like
you.
I was listening while I was like doing dishes, getting ready for the day, and I was like, oh yo, this is a whole ass lesson. I was like, okay, that's all right. You had the PowerPoint and everything, and your professionalism and your demeanor and everything. You know, me and Lana.
We over here like trauma.
Me, Lana, and Sky, we can't do no damn PowerPoint. Seriously, there's no way. Like we can't properly give out. There's no way. And you were like, I got this PowerPoint. I was like, all right, let's see what Effector streamer PowerPoint is. And you were like, yo, let me give you a whole ass lesson. And you prevent yourself with such a way that's like I said before, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And even if I don't actually know what I'm talking about, I'm sure acting like I know what I'm talking about. and that's like important, And so like not everybody can do that. And that seems like a really big fucking strength for you. And you were able to put this together and you wanted to put this together. And you had and I genuinely had a really good time. And thank you so much for inviting me and our lovely friends. This was a really good choice of group of people. I love Nana and Sky to death, and Char is a new friend, and I'm thoroughly impressed with the way that they are and their personality and stuff. If I was to have a wish, it'd be that you do this more often.
Absolutely. Seriously.
All right. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I think you should switch people in and out. I mean, it's up to you. This is your content, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I feel like that there's a lot of discussion on the internet about like what you can or can't do, and it's usually run by somebody. It's usually run by people who have different intentions.
Yes.
Yes. And I feel like yours is genuine, like, hey, I really want to like put this out there and have a discussion about it because I think it's important. And so I would like for if I had a wish, it would be that you continue this. That's just me putting that out there in front of everybody so that you can start feeling weird about it.
All right, I'm definitely gonna feel weird about it. Thank you. Sky, how about you?
On a grander note, my star, because I could easily say Effector again, but on a grander note, I would say anyone who's participating in the mental health awareness raid train, because I think I've been following the raid train. I've just heard some really wonderful stories, and also it's really insightful to hear everyone's perspective and also everyone's experience with mental health awareness, including this conversation that we had. I think everyone's unique approach to it, whether serious, whether maybe a little bit comedic. I love the twists, the turns, and I think the most important thing is just being able to listen and hear everyone share both their experiences and also resources, you know. And then in terms of my wishes, dang, what was my wish? I had a good one. What was my wish? Oh, I got it. Normalize talking about ignore my phone. Normalize talking about mental health and mental health awareness more often. I think and this is not, I guess, specifically towards you, Effector. I think this is like an everyone thing.
Yeah.
I hope that this is a conversation that that people can feel more comfortable talking about, because I think it's completely okay to have this conversation. You know, we're all human beings. We all experience these feelings, and we all have to set our own different boundaries. So why not talk about them and help us navigate them together? You know, so yeah, that's my wish.
My star was we nailed Cozy Chaos to a T today. Yes. We got our sillies out, we got our hot takes out, we gave out our grievances, and then we brought it home and I think produced a very quality presentation today for anybody who wants to watch this. There will be a VOD available. I'll post it on my YouTube. This information will be available at any time. If anybody wants to rewatch, feel free to do it. No, you're right. Proxy is the star. He's one of my mods. Shout out to Proxy. But you know, I think we did a really good job of taking a serious topic and making it entertaining, and that was my goal today, and I'm glad we were able to accomplish that. My wish is that people can take the concepts about vicarious trauma a little more seriously. Have that personal responsibility if you yourself are experiencing that, and take care of yourself, because no one can do it for you. You have to take the step to take care of you. And that's my wish, is that we'll continue to have those conversations and people get help. That's important to me.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for our panel, guys. Claps.
Yay! We did it. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Again, I want to shout out our panelists. You guys are amazing human beings. Absolutely. Go give a follow to all of them. Nina, you missed it. We'll rewind it.
Hannah.
Hey, Ohana. All right, so I've got one last bit of presentation to do. I've only got about 20 minutes, but it's just going to be more about resource giving, about finding a therapist and challenges for that. So I'm going to switch over to that in just a second. Let me get that going. Let's put on maybe an ad, and I'll be right back for all you lovely folks. So go practice some self-care, guys. Go take your meds, as Lana says.
Yo meds.
Hi, guys.
Take your meds.
BRB. I know I can't hear you guys, but thank you. Thank you all for this wonderful experience. It won't let me hear you in the guest star, but this was amazing. You guys did great. You're very great humans. Oh, I'm talking to the computer, but you're up here, aren't you? You up there, aren't you? All right. I know what I'm doing. I'm a streamer. This is a thing. You guys are great. You guys are great. All right.
Hashtag the morning.
Let me get this presentation back up. And there's that. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, am I on? Hi, guys. All right, let me. Lana's still there. That's weird. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's get this up. Set stream.
Okay, so he's coming down this way. Shit.
It's
Shit.
you.
Fucking run, kid. He's gonna get you.
Igor,
turtle
you're pushing
no.
the button?
Turtle no.
Igor, roll for me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh yes, I got it throw out. Gotcha.
Maybe not.
I gotta set this phone so that doesn't turn off every few minutes.
You gotta keep turning that phone on.
18.
You gotta keep turning
18?
it on.
You hold down those raw vegetables perfectly fine, and you zoop.
Oh, come on. Focus. Focus. Penguin in a costume. How many Draculas are hiding in this room? Marlon Brando was so very handsome in his prime. I'd be an awesome cop if I could stop admitting.
Oh, Hobbs. Hobbs is hilarious.
Open. Over we go.
It's all good. I can. Command history. Jumpity jumpy jumpy jump. I think if I reset that and do that, that should do it. Perfect. Hello, Matham. Hello. Welcome in. Let's give you a shouty. Matham is next in the line for the raid train. Are you getting ready to stream? Are you live? So let's get into this conversation about oh, that was the wrong button. Hold on. Full screen. Here we go. I clicked the link. So let's talk just a little bit about finding a therapist, challenges, and resources. So despite there being growing awareness and access to mental health care, there's a lot of folks who don't end up engaged in therapy. There's a lot of challenges that contribute to that, ranging from attitudinal barriers to structural barriers, right? Structural barriers are things like not having transportation, not having the time, right? But according to the study by Ebert, it's actually the attitudes that are a larger barrier to being able to engage in therapy, meaning the first one there, the preference to handle the problem alone. Like, I got to handle this on my own. I got to do this for me, or someone else can't do it for me. 56% of responses in this particular study, that was the reason that prevented people from being able to access care. The second one in this study was about wanting to talk to friends or relatives instead, right? A therapist is a stranger in some ways that you kind of connect with. So it was another big barrier, or being too embarrassed to ask for help was a huge barrier to accessing care. So just kind of relating to our first talk that we had today about how as a streamer, you know, part of your responsibility is to think about how you're managing your content, what you're doing in terms of engaging other people's attitudes. Think about the power you have to be shaping those attitudes for yourself and others by engaging with what you do. And so I think as a community, people who stream, we have the ability to help shape those attitudes a little bit better to reduce stigma and increase people's willingness to maybe seek out help. So I just want you to think about, you know, your ability to do that. Just as simple as like offering an idea that, you know, you're not alone. there are things that we can do. So other barriers that prevent people from accessing care, there's common stigma-related barriers like we were just talking about. People don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to think about it. Some people just have concerns about different kinds of treatments, like the side effects of medication. As somebody who is an EMDR therapy person, I hear that a lot, that, you know, I don't want to talk about my trauma. What do you mean? Thankfully, we don't have to talk about a lot of trauma for EMDR therapy to be effective, but there's a lot of people that aren't interested in wanting to have to go there. And we talked about PTSD a little bit, building off of what Era said. You know, that avoidance is a huge part of the symptomology of just not wanting to have that experience. Wanting to solve it on our own, thinking about help. A lot of people I know are afraid to seek out for help because they don't want to get hospitalized, right? Talk about traumatization. Going to the hospital is not the coziest experience for most people, especially if you're a person of color and they're sending the cops to bring you to the hospital. No, yeah, big barrier there. I've heard this one where people have experiences with bad experiences with professionals in the past. You know, not all therapists are great. we're all human. We all have our own challenges. And so sometimes having bad therapy means that you don't seek it out again, but recognize that I don't want to say therapy is like dating. I don't want to connect it to that, but the idea is you've got to try it out. And if after a little while it ain't working for you, go to someone else. Find somebody different who has a different approach, has a different mindset or philosophy. Every single one of them is different. Again, those instrumental barriers in this study, they looked at things like the inaffordable cost. You know, that's a big part of why people have a challenge with therapy, is it's very expensive depending if you don't have insurance or you're uninsured. Taking the time off of work to be able to access, not knowing where to even get care gets in people's way. Transportation was one of the biggest ones I experienced working in community mental health. Not listed on this study, but another big one that was a huge mental health crisis was housing, lack of housing. And wherever that housing is, does not equate to being able to access care. So that's another huge barrier. And then the last one on this slide, right? Unavailability of clinicians with shared experiences. I am a white dude. A lot of therapists are white people. A lot of people who could benefit from mental health may not fit that demographic, right? And so being able to share about your life experience with somebody who knows where you've been, who can speak your truth, is really challenging. Thinking about barriers around neurodivergence, thinking about differences around income level or family challenges, right? There's so many barriers to being able to feel like you can relate to a clinician. And so the idea of going through that is really hard to do. So I only have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to quickly breeze through these resources. They are all available on my card, the ones that are listed. This is not really too helpful. That link is the slides from today's presentation of what we're doing today. And if you check out my card, I had added a link called Find a Therapist that lists a bunch of resources. So earlier we already talked about the ones on this page, so I'm going to skip it. Some really cool resources out there that I personally have added and I like. NAMI is huge. NAMI is huge. They often will have family-to-family peer support groups. If you are a parent of a child who is struggling with a mental health issue, they can often connect you with another parent who has that experience. And so you're more likely to be able to build on that. They do really good with advocacy. They sponsor a lot of good stuff in my community. Each NAMI has a little local chapter. You'd have to probably find the one closest to you. The Trevor Project is a 24-hour crisis line for LGBT, specifically youth. They're an amazing organization. They do a lot of great work. The Trans Lifeline is an organization similar to that is by and for trans folk, for any kind of community needs they might have. huge, awesome agency. And then in the United States, we have the 988 phone number. It was a recent initiative where literally, if you're in the US, you dial 988. It's like 911, but for, you know, mental health. So suicide prevention line, there's a national line. Usually there's a local office too, depending on where you are. But if you're like, I need to talk to somebody right now, those three, depending on where your issues lie, are the ones that I would recommend. In terms... Thank you. In terms of actually finding a therapist, some of the sites that I personally like, I've got 5 of them listed for you, and each of them is on my card. The first one is what's called Open Path Collective. The Open Path Collective is a network of psychotherapists, all kinds of folks, who have very low cost copays. So let's say you don't have insurance, or your insurance is like, you've got a $3,000 deductible before we'll pay a cent, meaning you don't get care. A lot of therapists will have slots on their caseloads where they only charge, I think, at like $40 a session, which is still expensive. I'm not trying to undermine that, but compared to not getting coverage at all, the Open Path Collective is a way to try to find somebody who can meet your needs that might be able to be more affordable than the current option you have. A lot of great people are over there that connect with Open Path. Therapy Den is a large network of therapists, and they again do what they can to help making a therapist the right fit work for you. They have so many different filters that you can go through. It'd be really useful. Types of insurance, type of therapy, demographics of the therapist, certain shared values perhaps. If you're somebody who wants a Christian counselor, I guarantee Therapy Den probably has a filter for that. They're amazing. If you've ever seen a TikToker named Therapy Jeff, that's his site. He's always giving hot takes. They're hilarious, but Therapy Den is great. I vetted them. They're fabulous. Probably the largest network that you're going to find of psychotherapists is on Psychology Today. Psych Today is amazing in terms of their ability to sort things. I personally don't prefer them as my go-to compared to Therapy Den, because Psychology Today has some nefarious marketing practices in what they do as an organization. I personally no longer associate my practice with Psych Today, but a lot of clinicians do. A lot of clinicians do, and if you're looking for a specific kind of therapist and your specific insurance plan, Psych Today has a really good tool for that. Selfishly, I'm going to promote EMDRIA. So EMDRIA is the International Association for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing Therapy. They also have a Find an EMDR Therapist tool where you can get a listing of folks in your area, or at least in your state, who do telehealth that may be able to offer that specific type of therapy, which is the first line treatment for PTSD and other trauma related conditions. I am a big stan of EMDR therapy. That is my bud. That is my bread. That is my butter. They have a great resource as well. And the last therapy reference I will put up here is another one that's new to me that I've just started exploring, called Inclusive Therapists, which their mission is really to talk about that experience of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or of that intersection with LGBTQIA+, the LGBTQIA folks. Disability is also a huge part. Neurodivergence is a big part. So the therapists that are connected to Inclusive Therapists really are folks who are marketing themselves as having that experience, having that knowledge. So those are the 5 sites I would recommend for the most part, in terms of like, just if you're just wanting to find a run-of-the-mill therapist: Open Path Collective, Psych Today, EMDRIA, and Inclusive Therapists. And again, all of those can be found. If you use ! Find a Therapist, you'll get a link to my card. You click the link, and all of these resources that I just covered in this section of the presentation will be listed there, and I'm going to leave those there. That's going to be just part of a redeem that now is in my channel that comes up on a timer if anybody is asking from a therapist's perspective, where do I go? Those are the places I would send you. That's where I would say go. Okay. So that was fast. To try to get through that, I think spending more time on the panel was more important use of our time. Getting those conversations going, answering those questions, being there with each other, and obviously doing our safety questions. That was important to me. So I'm not going to go into any more detail about that. We're going to get ready to raid. We've got our next person on deck for the raid train. Toot toot! It's that time! Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna make sure I queue him up so I have him on my thing. There we go. I think this should do the thing. Toot toot. So feel free to copy which message you like. I'm probably just gonna copy the mental health matters one. But if you want to, thank you for the biddies, Ghost Girl. Thanks, Kay. If you want to copy the train one because it's cute, feel free to copy that one. But I'm gonna copy the mental health matters one myself, and let's get this raid going. There it goes. I think it's going. I can't see. One new raid. It is going. It is going. Yay! Thank you again to my panelists, my mods, Ari. Thank you, Ari, for organizing this event. Can't forget you. You are amazing. There's still plenty more stuff to come. This raid train is going through Tuesday. There's still many more creators that are going to be going. Feel free to drop in when you can. Give a lurk, give a little love. I don't know what this type something is. I can't delete it. It's just there now. My quote that I put on my graphic is that with the right conditions, every single human brain can heal. And you have the power to create those conditions. And that comes straight out of my practice as an EMDR therapist. I just want you to know, please take care of yourselves. Thank you guys. This was a great time. I hope it was helpful. And I'll be back Wednesday. Yes, Emmy. I'm going to be up early for Emmy. Well, yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Good luck. Take care.